Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be playing Dracula Curse of the Vampire, which is my adventure book novel. So I've done a little bit of prep before this video, so I've photocopied some useful sheets, and yeah, hopefully that should all become clear as we play the game. So first look, this is the front cover. So I'll move this a little bit further forward and snag on my microphone. So yeah, these are some of the other books that are in, I think, this series. There's fighting fantasy game books and snow books anthologies. These look quite cool, actually. Yeah, because I have Alice in Wonderland, which is their Ace game books. So in this series, you also get Alice's Nightmare in Wonderland, Wicked Wizard of Oz, Neverland, Here Be Monsters, Beowulf Beastslayer, and 'Twas the Krampus Night Before Christmas, which I think I saw on the stand at UK Games Expo. So I'll carry on turning the pages. So yeah, some of these adventure sheets I've already printed out, which are there underneath the pile. So this is like a brief intro to the game. So in Dracula Curse of the Vampire, you'll take on the role of one of 3 vampire hunters, either young solicitor Jonathan Harker, his fiancée, Mina Murray, Dr. John Stewart, or the undead Count Dracula himself. You decide which route to take, which perils to risk, and which of the terrifying creatures you will meet along the way to fight. Success is by no means certain, and you may well fail to complete the adventure at your first attempt. However, with experience, skill, and maybe even a little luck, each new attempt should bring you closer to the ultimate goal. In addition to the book itself, you need 2 6-sided dice. Good point. I need to get those out now. So if I bring that here, same one of my blood splatter dice. And a nice red glass dice. I think these are Norse Foundry. It's my husband's dice set because mine doesn't have enough contrast, so I've pinched his for this session. So where was I? Oh yes, the intro. Yes, 2 6-sided dice, or a conventional pack of 52 playing cards, pencil, eraser, and a copy of Dracula Curse of the Vampire, which we have here. Oh, adventure sheets, of course. Playing the game, I think I've kind of taken you through that, but to give you an idea of how the book itself works sort of mechanically. So apparently this book is special as I can actually chop and change between vampire hunters. I don't have to be the same one throughout, which is kind of cool. For this first playthrough, I'm going to stick with the same vampire hunter purely just to make it easier for myself. And I've already decided who that's going to be. But I could play, if I wanted to, as Dracula himself. But when you play as Dracula, you obviously can't change because it's just one vampire. There's not 3 of them. So when I play as a vampire hunter, there are 5 attributes I need to keep aware of. So the first one is agility. This is a measure of how athletic and agile a character is. If they need to leap across a chasm or dodge a deadly projectile, this is the attribute that will be employed. Combat. This is a measure of how skillful a character is at fighting, whether it be wielding a keen-edged blade in hand-to-hand combat or firing a gun. Endurance. This is a measure of how physically tough a character is and how much strength they have left. This attribute will vary more than any other during your adventure. ESP, also known as extrasensory perception. This is a measure of the strength of a character's psychic sixth sense. In other words, how capable they are, of receiving information directly with their mind, rather than via any of the other recognised physical senses. Terror. This is a measure of how scared a character is. The more terrified a character becomes, the less likely they are to be able to cope in frightening or traumatic situations. Unlike some adventure game books in Dracula Curse of the Vampire, characters' strengths and weaknesses are not determined randomly. However, everyone's terror score starts at 0. Right, that's good to know. There is also a pen is mightier than a sword attribute, which I think I can employ if I want to run away from a fight. And I'm allowed, I think, 3 opportunities to use this attribute. Yes, so each character that is presented in this book, they obviously have their own strengths and weaknesses. as you would expect in any other like RPG. So let's have a look at our characters. So this is Jonathan Harker. As we can see, he has a 9 for agility, 10 for combat, 24 for endurance, and an ESP of 7. Miss Mina Murray has an agility of 8, combat 8, endurance 20, and an ESP of 8. Ah, 3 8s, that's interesting. What did... No, he had quite a varied range of numbers there, okay. Dr. John Stewart, agility 10, combat 9, endurance 22, and ESP 6. And this is, if I was playing as Count Dracula, agility 8, combat 9, endurance 24, and ESP 7. So these are blood points, and these can actually be, I think, lost and acquired, if that's the right word, throughout the game, even if you're playing as a vampire hunter. So even if they're not directly benefiting from the blood points, or maybe not benefiting is the right word, Dracula is getting stronger in the background. So let's just say, yeah, they gain a blood point. It's actually worse. It's helping the vampire. I can also restore my attributes if I become weak. So there's various ways of doing that. So if I read an extract that is in a special kind of font, kind of like, I suppose, a typewriter font, I regain 4 endurance points. But the way this works is the section in the book, it has to start in that font. It can't begin, say, halfway through the extract or copy. Also, a character can't exceed their endurance points. And I think when they get to 0, it's game over. So hand-to-hand combat. I won't go too much into this. I'm going to save it for when I actually get involved in hand-to-hand combat, as it is a bit lengthy, but it's kind of cool. There's lots of steps to it, so it should be quite straightforward to follow. And there's also options for fighting more than one opponent, range combat. An alternative to dice, rather, I've already covered. So yeah, I've got 2d6s for that. And yes, I can pick up equipment along the way, like guns, swords. And yes, there's also code words. So when I'm prompted, I tick off a code word. And yeah, I can't remember how this helps me. I think it's more for the narrative, so I acquire useful information. So ending the game. So I mentioned before that when endurance gets to 0, it's game over. So there are several ways that your adventure can end. If the endurance score of a character you are playing... let me read that again, hang on. There are several ways that your adventure can end if the endurance score of the character you are playing, as ever, drops to 0 or below. As ever, okay. They've been killed and your adventure is over. If this happens, stop reading at once. There may also be occasions where you're prevented from progressing any further through the adventure, thanks to the choices you have made, or if you meet a sudden and untimely end. In these cases, if you want to have another crack at completing the adventure, you'll have to begin the story afresh from the start, perhaps choosing a different character this time. There is, of course, one other reason for your adventure coming to an end, and that is if you successfully complete your quest, the very same quest that awaits you now. So yeah, these are the character sheets I've printed off. And as you can see, there's a marker for the pen is mighty attribute. So yeah, 3 options of those. Code words, I think that's to keep tally of the blood score. And yeah. Encounter boxes. I might actually get a sheet out for that because that looks quite useful. Yeah, so, here's the beginning. If you're playing as Jonathan Harker, turn to 1. If you're playing as Mina Murray, turn to 250. If you're playing as Dr. Dodge Stewart, turn to 500. If you're playing as Count Dracula, turn to 750. So it looks like I'm going to prompt 250. Let's have a look what we get there. Because I'm obviously playing Miss Mina Murray. That's a bit of a dramatic picture. 250. It's definitely not page. I think that's prompt 250. Yeah, it's definitely prompt. So it's a letter. From Miss Lucy Westonera to Miss Mina Murray. My dearest Mina, thanks and thanks and thanks again for your sweet letter. It's so nice to hear about your work as an assistant school mistress and to hear about Jonathan's travels. I'd never even heard of Transylvania until you wrote to me. It must be nice to see strange countries, but I'm sure you must be missing him desperately. I'm longing to hear all his news. But I have some news of my own I must share with you. My dear, it never rains but it pours. Here I am, who shall be 20 in September, and yet I've never had a proposal till today. Not a real proposal, and today I had 3. Just fancy, 3 proposals in one day. Well, my dear, number 1 came just before lunch. I told you of him, Dr. John Stewart. He is only 29, and he has an immense lunatic asylum under his care. He would just do for you if you were not already engaged to Jonathan, for he's handsome, well off, and of good birth. He spoke to me, Mina, very straightforwardly. He told me how dear I was to him, though he had known me so little, and what his life would be with me to help and cheer him. He was going to tell me how unhappy he would be if I did not care for him, but when he saw me cry, he said he was a brute and would not add to my present trouble. Then he broke off and asked if I could love him in time. When I shook my head, his hands trembled, and then with some hesitation he asked me if I cared for anyone else. I felt a sort of duty to tell him that if there was someone. Then he stood up, took both my hands in his, and said he hoped I would be happy, and that if I ever wanted a friend, I must count on him as one of my best. Number 2 came after lunch. He's such a nice fellow and American from Texas. Oh, lovely. He looks so young and so fresh that it seems almost impossible that he's been to so many places and has had such adventures. Mr. Quincy P. Morris found me alone, sat down beside me and looked as happy and jolly as he could. But I could see all the same that he was very nervous. He took my hand in his and said ever so sweetly, Miss Lucy, I know I ain't good enough to regulate... I'm not going to put on a Texan accent. Miss Lucy, I know I ain't good enough to regulate the fixings of your little shoes, but I guess if you wait till you find a man, that is you will go join them 7 young women with the lamps when you quit. Won't you just hitch up alongside of me and let's go down a long road together, driving in double harness? That might have made a bit more sense if I tried the accent, but no. Well, he did look so good-humoured and so jolly that it didn't seem half so hard to refuse him, as did poor Dr. Stewart. So I said as lightly as I could that I did not know anything of hitching, that I wasn't broken to harness at all yet. And then, my dear, before I could say another word, he began pouring out a perfect torrent of love-making, blimey, laying his very heart and soul at my feet. I suppose he saw something in my face which checked him, for he suddenly stopped and said with a sort of manly fervour, Lucy, you're an honest-hearted girl. I know I should not be here speaking to you as I am now, if I did not believe you clean of grit, right through to the very depths of your soul. Tell me, like one good fellow to another, is there anyone else that you care for? And if there is, I'll never trouble you a hair's breadth again, but will be, if you will let me, be a very faithful friend. I burst into tears, I'm afraid, my dear, and I really felt very badly. I am glad to say that though I was crying, I was able to look into Mr. Morris's brave eyes. I told him straight. Yes, there is someone I love, though he has not told me yet that he loves me. I was right to speak to him so frankly, for quite a light came then to his face, and he put out both his hands and took mine. I think I put them into his and said in a very hearty way, That's my brave girl. It's better worth being late for a chance of winning you than being in time for any other girl in the world. Don't cry, my dear. If it's up for me, I'm a hard nut to crack, and I take it to standing up. What? If that other fellow doesn't know his happiness well, he'd better look for it soon, or he'll have to deal with me. He stood up with my 2 hands in his, and as he looked down into my face, he said, Little girl, your honesty and pluck have made me a friend, and that's rarer than a lover. Thank you for your sweet honesty to me, and goodbye. He wrung my hand, and taking up his hat, went straight out the room, without looking back, without a tear or a quiver or a pause. Oh, about number 3, I needn't tell you of number 3, need I? Besides, it was all so confused. It seemed only a moment from his coming into the room till both his arms were around me, kissing me. I am very, very happy. I don't know what I've done to deserve it, but I am become Mrs. Arthur Holmwood. I must only try in the future to show that I am not ungrateful to God for all his goodness in sending me such a lover, such a husband, and such a friend. Goodbye. Ever your loving Lucy. Well, that was eventful. I think also, does Mina get any points for that? Because I noticed it started someone's journal. Yeah, it's from a letter and it's printed. So she gets 4 endurance points. So if I get the character sheet, her endurance is now, say, 24. So turn to 278. Mina Murray's journal, 24th of July, Whitby. Lucy met me at the station looking sweeter and lovelier than ever, and we drove up to the house at the Crescent Inn, which they have rooms. Whitby is simply a lovely place. The River Esk runs through a deep valley which broadens out as it comes near the harbour. A great viaduct runs across the higher piers, through which the view seems somehow further away than it really is. The valley is beautifully green, and it is so steep that when you're on the higher land on either side, you look right across it, unless you are near enough to see down. The houses of the old town are all red roof and seem piled up over one another anyhow. Right over the town is a ruin of Whitby Abbey, which was sacked by the Danes. It is a most noble ruin of immense size. There is a legend that a white lady is seen in one of the windows. Between it and a town there is the parish church, which is surrounded by a large graveyard full of tombstones. As far as you are concerned, this is the nicest spot in Whitby, for it is full view of the harbour, and all up to the bay where the headland, called the Kettleness, stretches out into the sea. It descends so steeply that part of the bank has fallen away, as some of the graves have been destroyed. In one place, part of the stonework stretches out over the sandy pathway far below. There are walks with seats beside them. Through the churchyard, oh, they don't. Say it again. There are walks with seats beside them through the churchyard, and people go there to look at the beautiful view and enjoy the sea breeze, as do you. Indeed, it is while you are sitting enjoying the view yourself one day, while taking your daily constitutional with Lucy. Yeah, I did read that right, constitutional. That you overhear the talk of three old men who are sitting on the seat beside you. They seem to do nothing all day, but sit here and talk. It seems they have a legend hereabouts that when a ship is lost, its bells are heard out at sea. The old man sitting nearest you appears to be very old, for his face is gnarled and twisted like the bark of a tree. You get talking, he tells you that he's nearly 100, and that he was a sailor in the Greenland fishing fleet when Waterloo was fought, and that his name is Mr. Swales. As he seems eager to make conversation, do you want to ask him about the local legend of the submerged bells? Turn to prompt 296. The legend of the White Lady? Turn to 316. Or will you really remark upon the view? 456. Okay, so I'm actually going to make some notes here before I get lost in the narrative, because we're encountering quite a few characters now. So these are some of the rules I summarised here. So initially we got a letter from her friend Lucy, who is now engaged. I think, is this one of the characters in the book she's engaged to? So if I go back to 250. Number 3. Mr. Arthur Holmwood. Is he any of the characters in here? I don't think he is. We have Dr. John Stewart, Miss Mina Murray, and Jonathan Harper. So it's Arthur Holmwood. I'll just check again in case I've literally just forgotten. Make sure I've got that right. Where are we? I'm going to come Mrs. Arthur. Okay, so it's definitely Arthur Holmwood. Where's my pencil gone now? Oh, there it is. Letter from Lucy. Engaged to Arthur Holmwood. And I met Mr. Swales, who is 100. While walking with Lucy. What do I do? These submerged bells sound really intriguing, so I'm going to turn to page 296. Oh, but the Legend of the White Lady is also good. No, we're going to go to page 296. I'm going to call it. So, 296. The old man's accent is very thick, but by concentrating and applying yourself, you work out the meaning behind his words, even if you do not understand every word directly. It is now a well-known fact that during his reign, the old firebrand, King Henry VIII, sent out groups to destroy abbeys and churches of the Catholic faith, as he built up his Church of England, and one of those abbeys was Whitby Abbey, hence its present ruinous state. On the king's instructions, the abbey bells were removed, carried down the 199 steps that led from St Mary's churchyard to the town, and loaded onto a ship that would then transport them to London, it being Henry's intention to sell them from scrap and keep the money for himself. The people of Whitby were devastated. Not only had their beautiful abbey been torn down, but now they were going to lose the familiar chimes that had rung out through the day, every day of the year. The locals prayed that something might happen so that their bells would not be taken away. It is incredible, and incredibly, their wish became true. Inexplicably, the ship sank, and it is said to still be there, just off the Black Nab under the North Sea. Sailors and fishermen have since said that if you sail to the shoals on a clear night, you can still hear the currents ringing the bells. Turn to 336. Oh, this is getting good. 336. But I wouldn't worry myself about such stories, miss. Them things be all wore out. Mind, I don't say that they never was, but I do say they wasn't in my time. Okay? Such legends all be very well for day trippers and them feet folks from York and Leeds that always, God, it's hard to read, but I get it, it's in character, that be always eating cured herrings and drinking tea and looking to buy a cheap jet, but not for a nice young lady like you. Apologies to anyone that can't make heads or tails of this. Lucy joined you then, looking sweetly pretty in her white lawn frock. She has acquired a healthy complexion since she has been staying here. The old men did not waste time in coming in and sitting near her when she sits down. Even your old friend appears to be enamoured of her, but you are keen to keep him on the subject of local legends. It all be fool talk, Mr. Swell says brusquely. Lock, stock and barrel. That's what it be, and nought else. Stories of curses, wafts, bargets and boggles and all are only fit to set bairns and dizzy women a blubbering. Wafts, bargets and boggles must be dialect names for different types of sprites and other supernatural creatures. Which of them do you want to ask the old man about? I think if you first leave the old fellow be and not bother him, turn to 456. I'm going to ask him about wafts. Also, I just remembered, I think I've earned another 4 points of endurance that I forgot to mark. So I think we're at 28. When she was, I think, writing a diary. So yeah, I'm going to turn to 356. So let's just say in my notes, she's, after speaking with the old man, he is going to tell her more about boggles. Turn to 416. Here we go. A boggle is a troublesome shape-shifting goblin, a notorious bugbear of local legend that traditionally haunts crossroads in and out of other places. Note that for later. Goblin haunts crossroads. Turn to prompt 436. But take no heed, miss, Mr. Swells goes on. Such things be nought but air blebs. They and all grim signs and warnings, all be the inventions of parsons and book-learning busybodies, and railway touters to scare half-wits and to get folks to do something that they don't otherwise incline to do. But nonetheless, all this talk of spectres and the supernatural leaves you feeling uneasy to your very core. What? She gained a terror score from that? Oh, good Lord. Right. Terror score 1. Just wanted a little nice chat with this gentleman. Got myself a terror score. That deserves me. What's the word? Not deserves me. Serves me right for being nice. Right. She got a terror score. Right. 456. Okay, we're still talking to the older gentleman. You see all these stones, he says, pointing with his walking stick at the headstones that rise from the turf of the churchyard in its picturesque spot. You confirm that you do. It's a wonder they don't tumble down with the weight of lies wrote on them. Oh, interesting. Here lies a body of, sacred to the memory, wrote on all of them, and yet in nigh half of them there are no bodies buried there at all, and the memories of them no one cares a pinch of snuff about. Much less sacred. Lies, all of them, nothing but lies. Oh, Mr. Swells, you interject. You can't be serious. Surely these tombstones are not all wrong. There may be a poorish few not wrong, he admits, but there may be scores of these graves that could be empty. The plot thickens. Why, I could name ye a dozen whose bones lie in the Greenland seas, or where the currents may have drifted them. He points to a stone at your feet which has been laid down as a slab, upon which the seat you are sitting on rests close to the edge of the cliff. Read the lies written there, he says gruffly. Sacred to the memory of George Cannon. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Lucy says, leaning over and reading the words carved into it, who died in the hope of a glorious resurrection on the 29th of July, 1873, falling from the rocks at Kettle Ness. This tomb was erected by his sorrowing mother to dearly beloved son. Really, Mr. Swells, I don't see anything funny in that, she says, addressing the old man directly. You don't see aught funny, laughs the old man. Okay, we're about to get into a trigger warning here. This is the part where suicide is mentioned, so feel free to skip ahead a few minutes if you don't want to hear me read about it. That's because you don't know the sorry mother was a hellcat that hated him because he was a hunchback. Deformed he was, and he hated her so that he committed suicide in order that she mightn't get an insurance she put on his life. He blew the top of his head off with an old musket they kept for scaring crows. That's the way he fell off the rocks. And as to hopes of a glorious resurrection, I've often heard him say myself that he'd hoped to go to hell, for his mother was so pious that she'd be sure to go to heaven, and he didn't want to go where she was. He hammers a stone with his stick. A pack of lies. Oh, why did you tell us, demands Lucy. This is my favourite seat, and I cannot leave it. And now I find I must go on sitting over the grave of a suicide. Right? That won't hurt ye, says Mr. Swales. Why, I've sat here on and off for nigh 20 years, and it hasn't done me no harm. Don't ye worry about that lie under ye, or that don't lie there either. Okay. The church clock strikes 6, at which the old man labours to get up, saying, I must be going now. My granddaughter doesn't like to be kept waiting when the tea is ready. My service to ye ladies, and with that he hobbles off. Okay, so I'm going to make a note here. Who was the man? George Cannon, because I've got a feeling this person may come up again in the context of Dracula. Potentially, who knows? George Cannon. Okay, turn to prompt 476. Mina Murray's journal. Okay, I think I'll get another +4 points here. So 28 plus 4 is... Oh, we're getting our endurance up. 32, thank goodness. Right, where was I? 476. 26th of July, Whitby. I am anxious, and it soothes me to express myself here. I am unhappy about Lucy and about Jonathan. You have not heard from Jonathan, your fiancé, for some time, and you were getting quite concerned until yesterday, when his employer, dear Mr. Hawkins, who is always so kind, sent you a letter from him. It is only a line dated from Castle Dracula, and that he is just starting for home. He was heating up now. But that is so unlike him. You cannot understand his brevity, and it does little to relieve your sense of unease. On top of that, Lucy has lately taken to her old habit of walking in her sleep. Oh dear. Her mother, Mrs. Westenra, has spoken to you about it, and you have decided to lock the door of your room you share every night. Apparently, Lucy's late father had the same habit and would get up in the night and dress himself and go out if he were not stopped. Lucy is to be married in the autumn and is already planning out her dresses and how her house is to be arranged. You sympathise with her, for your mind is preoccupied with the same concerns, only you and Jonathan will start married life in a very simple way. And you'll have to try to make both ends meet. Lucy's fiancé is the Honourable Arthur Holmwood, only son of Lord Godalming, and he's coming up to Whitby as soon as you leave town, for his father is not very well, and you think your dear friend is counting the moments till he comes. Another week goes by without further word from Jonathan, and each night you are awakened by Lucy, moving around the room. You feel that she is watching you. Every night is the same. She tries the door, finding it locked, goes about the room searching for the key. The anxiety in perpetually being awakened each night is beginning to tell on you, and you have become nervous and wake for yourself. Lose 1 combat point. What? And another bloody terror score. Okay, 2 terror scores. And so the days tick by, following the same uncomfortably familiar pattern. Okay, so Mina is becoming frustrated. That Jonathan is not home. Lucy is sleep walking like her father used to do. Right, turn to prompt 496. Get more sinister now. 496. Oh, it's another journal entry, I believe, or like a telegram. So I think that's another +4. So that is 36 for endurance. I may just be adding way more of these on that I should be, but it's fine. Right. Last night was very threatening, and the fishermen say that we are in for a storm. Today is a grey day, the sun hidden in thick clouds despite the time of year, high over Kettleness. Despite the uninspiring conditions, you make the walk from the Crescent down into the town and up the 199 steps on the other side of the River Esk. Okay, interesting. Remember earlier we were talking about how Henry VIII commissioned the bells to be stripped from Whitby Abbey and taken down the 199 steps. On the other side of the River Esk to your favourite spot on the cliff path at the edge of the churchyard, but you make it alone. Lucy is feeling listless after a particularly unsettled night's somnambulism. The sea tumbles in over the shallows and the sandy flats with a roar, while the horizon is lost in grey mist. The clouds are piled up like giant rocks, and there is a low rumble over the sea that sounds like the presage of doom. You can see overfishing boats racing for home, rising and dipping in the ground swell as they sweep into the harbour, bend into the scuppers. You are not alone on the headland. Oh no, old Mr. Swales is making straight from you along the cliff path. Oh, good Lord. While the Coast Guard has joined you and is looking out to sea, spyglass in hand. If you want to go and meet Mr. Swales, curious as to what he could possibly want, turn to page 516. The second prompt. If you would rather not have anything more to do with the cantankerous fellow, turn to page 55 or prompt 556. Oh, I think Mina is a sucker for punishment, so we're going to greet Mr. Swales. Let's hope he gives us another terror score of his tales of horrible things. 516. Okay, I've gone 2 for the 516. Taking your hands in his, Mr. Swales says in an unsurprisingly gentle way, I'm afraid, my dearie, that I must have shocked you all by the wicked things I've been saying about the dead and such like. But I didn't mean any of them, and I want you to remember that when I'm gone. Okay, that's much nicer. Someday soon the angel of death will sound his trumpet for me, and if he should come this very night, I do not refuse his call. For the 100 years is too much for any man to expect, and death be all that we can rightly depend upon. There's something in the wind that smells like death. It's in the air, and I feel it coming. Mr. Swales removes his hat, his mouth moving as if he's praying. After a few minutes, reverential silence, he shakes his hands with you, blesses you, and finally says goodbye before hobbling off again. Oh, tick off the code Azrael and turn to 556. So let's have a look. Azrael. Okay. There. I've got a line for it as well in case I don't see it. Okay, Azrael has been ticked off, and we're going to page 556. So I'm going to make a note here. spoke to Mr. Swale's senses and evil presence. Maybe I've embellished that. Senses death is coming. Wishes me well. Ticked off as real. Okay. 5, 5, 6. So we're going ahead again. Ooh. So I just saw Dracula's castle then. Got a bit excited. 5, 5, 6. Good Lord, the coast guard suddenly cries. He has his spyglass to his eye and is looking for it at a strange ship out to sea that is knocking about in the queerest way. She's a Russian by the looks of her, he goes on, but she doesn't seem to know her mind one bit. She seems to see the storm coming, but can't decide whether to run up north in the open or to put it in here. It certainly looks to you like she's being steered mightily strangely, as if there's no hand on the wheel at all. For the ship changes about with every puff of wind. We'll hear more of her before this time tomorrow, the Coast Guard says sagely. Oh, he's implied, I think, the ship's about to run aground or go into rocks. You return to the house on the Crescent where you are staying, but that night awoken a little after midnight as a tempest breaks. Lucy is tossing and turning in her bed, moaning faintly, but she does not get up. You, however, can't sleep for thinking of the ship you saw struggling against the tide. Do you want to sneak out of the house and return to the East Cliff to watch for the ship? Or do you want to remain where you are and pray that sleep takes you again before too long? I think she might go to the ship because we like to do silly things in the middle of the night during a storm. So Mina leaves during the middle of the night to keep an eye on the ship. Okay. So I'm waiting for the ship, so that's 5, 7, 8. Oh no, don't see that, it's the end. You dress quickly and leaving the bedroom, you lock the door behind you, taking the key with you, in case Lucy's disturbed sleep should lead to another incident of sleepwalking. Exiting the house without anyone knowing, by the back door you make your way hurriedly through the town and up the 199 steps to the Eastcliff churchyard. All the while the wind roaring like thunder and threatening to blow you off your feet. This is something I was a little bit worried about. She seems very slight, and being near a cliff or the edge of a cliff when there is a storm brewing probably isn't a good idea. But you make it to the lookout point in the end and find the Coast Guard. Several officers are preparing to test a new searchlight that has been installed there for the first time. It is as if the whole aspect of nature has become convulsed. The waves rise in the growing fury, each overtopping its fellow, and the sea becomes a devouring monster. White-crested waves beat madly at the beach and rush up the cliffs. Others break over the piers at the entrance of the harbour, their spume drenching the lanthorns of the lighthouses there. But it is difficult to see much else, since masses of sea fog are drifting inland, white, wet reefs which sweep up in ghostly fashion, so dank and damp and cold that it needs little imagination to think that they are spirits of those lost at sea, reaching for their living brethren with the clawing hands of death. The mist clears from time to time, and you can see the sea for some distance in the glare of the lighting, which comes thick and fast, followed by such peals of thunder that the whole sky seems to tremble. The officers of the Coast Guard finally manage to fire up the searchlight, and before long discover the schooner you saw earlier, all sails set, and an involuntary shudder goes through you when you realise the terrible danger it is in. Between the vessel and the port lies a great reef, of which many good ships have floundered before, and with the wind blowing from its present quarter, it will be quite impossible for her to make the entrance to the harbour with the gale threatening to force her onto the shoals. It is nearly the hour of high tide, but the waves are so great that in their troughs you can almost see the shallows of the shore. Then comes another rush of sea fog, a massive dank mist that seems to smother everything in grey pall. The wind suddenly shifts to the northeast, and the remnant of sea fog melts before the mighty billows, and swept before the blast, leaping from wave to wave as it rushes headlong. The strange schooner unbelievably gains the safety of the harbour. The searchlight follows her passage, and another shudder runs through you. For now, you can see lashed to the helm is a corpse, oh my god, with drooping head, soaked by sea, which swings horribly to and fro with the motion of the ship. Add 1 point to your terror score. Good Lord. We haven't even encountered Count Dracula yet, and we've got 3 terror points. Not even in his castle. If that happens, I'm just making it up. Where was I? Add 1 point to your terror score. Without slowing, the schooner, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, schooner, rushes across the harbour, pitching herself up on the accumulation of sand and gravel, washed by many tides and many storms into the northeast corner of the pier, jutting under the east cliff, known locally as Tate Hill Pier. The vessel drives up onto the shore, the sand piling around her hull. As it ploughs its way through the beach, the keel splintering as it does so, every spar, rope and stay straining as the foremast comes crashing down. Ooh. But strangest of all, the very instant the ship touches the shore, an immense black dog springs up on the deck from below and jumps from the bow of the schooner onto the land. It makes straight for the cliff, where you're watching these strange events unfold. In fact, it seems to be coming straight towards you. Tick off the word bogey. Okay, so we know what a bogey is, and an Azrael. I don't know where that came from. Mr. Swales, that was a prompt after Mr. Swales spoke to us, but nothing in what he said was Azrael. If you want to flee from the beast, turn to 598. If you are determined to stand your ground, turn to 661. I think she will flee, you know. She's brave, but she's not silly. Yeah, 598. I think her limit was going out in a tempest in the middle of the night on her own to go up to a cliff. I think taking on a wolf is a bit of a leap. 598. Take on your heels and run. Take an agility test and endurance test. If you pass both tests, turn to 641. But if you fail either test, turn to 621 at once. So how... Oh, I vaguely remember... Oh, test, here we go. Conveniently made some notes earlier, so I don't have to keep going in the book. So, an agility test, 2d6, less than or equal to my score to pass. So, if I get my little character sheet out, my agility is 8. And an endurance test... oh, I don't know. Did I write endurance down? No, I don't think I did. I've got ESP. It must be something different than endurance, unless I just missed it off the list. Let's have a look. Hand-to-hand combat, terror tests. If it is your endurance score is being tested, roll 4 dice in total. So, oh, okay, so I think it's very similar to terror in that it's 4 dice. Because I wrote down terror but not endurance. So it's less than your endurance. So it's 4 dice and it's less than or equal to. So I'm going to quickly write that down. Endurance 4d6 less than or equal to. So, okay. So we need to take both tests. So we're going to roll 2d6 and we want less than or equal to 8 to pass. That's I suppose moderate odds. 6, excellent. We're probably not going to pass that. So that's a 6 and a 5. That's 11. She fails. So 11. Fail. Fail. There's no point in me doing endurance. Oh no, because I could lose score, so I need to do that. So 1 plus 3, that's 4. 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10. So she's got 10 for endurance. So she passes that. Yeah, less than or equal to. Lucky endurance is like 36. Perfect. Okay, but still we failed agility. So we need to turn to 6, 2, 1 at once. I'm saying those then. Don't know why I said that. 6, 2, 1. Oh, this is a nice little image here. As you hare off across the graveyard, your foot catches in a hole where one of the old tombs has crumbled inwards, and you fall, twisting your ankle and bruising yourself on the cracked coffin stone. Oh, well, I'm glad I built up my endurance because I've just lost 3 points. So that's 36 minus 3. So that's now 33. And 1 agility point. So, no, I failed that, so I'll erase that now. So my agility is now 7. If you want to make use of the penny's mighty and the special ability, cross off 1 and turn to page 641. If not, make a note that the dog has the initiative and turn to page 312. I'm going to turn to page... I'm going to use penny's might and the sword. So she's going to dodge combat there because she's on her own. And ideally, I don't know how combat works in this, but I'd rather wait till I'm a bit further on in the story because I don't want to kill her. So I want to get through this a bit more before engaging in combat that could potentially cut this short. So yeah, I'm going to go to 641. So let's see. 641. Although you could argue maybe I should have saved that for a bigger fight, but never mind. 641. The great black dog hurtles past you and disappears into the night, but your close call with the beast leaves you shaken. Oh, I've got 4 terror points. Add 1 point to your terror score. Not wanting to stay out a moment longer as officers of the Coast Guard and local fishermen go to board the beach vessel rather, you hurry back to Westenra's house on the Crescent and the security of your own bed. So turn to 774. Seven, 7, 4. Oh no, a few more than that. 7, 7, 4. Oh, I thought I was at the end there. No. The orange glow of dawn is teasing at the east cliff and the ruins of the abbey before you. Okay, I'm going to read that again. The orange glow of the dawn is teasing the east cliff and the ruins of the abbey before you. You manage to fall asleep again and you rise late to find your friend is already up and about. You join Lucy and her mother in the conservatory for a late breakfast and you find them poring over a report in the local paper, the Daily Graph, about the shipwreck you witnessed during the night. It says here that the captain of the schooner was found dead, bound to the ship's wheel, Lucy says with ghoulish delight. How absolutely ghastly. How will you respond? May I see the article myself, Lucy? Why don't we go down to the harbour and see the ship for ourselves? I think it's best we don't go out today. No doubt there'll be police and day trippers all over the town. I want to see the article. I need to keep notes, actually, because I've been getting too into this and I'll get lost about what I've been reading. Okay, so, to recap, a wolf/dog chased her. She got home safely. I'll bypass a bit of her feeling, scared and awkward. Lucy reading paper next day. Captain of ship dead and tied to wheel. So yeah, she's going to ask for take a glimpse at the newspaper. So that is 853. So I'm intrigued at what the newspaper reported, actually. 8, yes. Oh yeah, 853, I'm nowhere near that. 853. Here we go. The Whitby correspondent responsible for the piece makes much of the fact that last night's storm was one of the greatest and most sudden on record, and after describing the changes in the weather over the course of the evenings, focuses on the fate of the Russian schooner and the gruesome details surrounding the discovery of the ship's captain bound to the helm. Having made the harbour, the ship's headlong flight only came to an end when it ran ashore, at which moment numerous onlookers witnessed an immense dog leap from the deck of the ship and bound up the east cliff to disappear into the darkness beyond the graveyard. The reporter was one of a small group who saw a dead seaman whilst he was actually lashed to the wheel. The man was fastened by his hands, tied one over the other. The man was fastened by his hands, tied one over the other to one of the spokes, and what is more, between the inner hand and the wood was a crucifix. The set of beads on which it was fastened being around both wrists of the wheel, and all kept fast by the binding cords. The flapping and buffeting of the sails had worked through the rudder of the wheel and had dragged him to and fro, so that the cords of which he had tied had cut the flesh to the bone. The helmsman was examined by a surgeon who declared that he must have been dead for 2 days. The Coast Guard said that the man must have tied himself to the wheel, fastening the knots with his teeth. It is needless to say that the dead steersman was removed from the place where his honourable watch and ward till death, and placed in a mortuary to await inquest. Tick off the code word, Demeter. Now, I have watched many a film on Dracula, and isn't the Demeter the name of the ship that brings him ashore to, I suppose, England? Having read all you want about the derelict ship that found her way so miraculously into Whitby Harbour in the storm, do you want to suggest to Lucy that the two of you take a stroll down to the seafront to see the wreck for yourselves, 883, or will you advise that you think it's better the two of you remain at Crescent today, especially considering Lucy's delicate state at present? I'm tempted to stay at home. I want to know if, like, Lucy starts doing some weird stuff. Now that, you know, by sounds of it, Dracula has arrived inland. So yeah, I'm just going to see kind of what happens there. Right. So does she get possessed? We'll find out. 823. That night, the last remnants of the previous night's storm sending scuds of cloud racing across the bay beyond the harbour wall, you and Lucy retire to bed. The rattling of the chimney pots and the moan of the wind about the eaves of the house, your only lullaby. Take an ESP test. Oh, this is interesting. If you pass the test, turn to 501. If you fail the test, turn to 521. Okay, so ESP is 2d6 less than or equal to pass. Okay. So that's 3 and 1, so that's 4. Oh, excellent, I've passed that. So if you pass the test, turn to 501. 501. You wake suddenly in the middle of the night from a horrible dream in which you are being pursued across the moors by a great black dog, to find Lucy getting dressed as if she intends to go out. Most disturbing of all, however, is that when you ask her where she thinks she is going, she doesn't reply, and you realise that she is sleepwalking. You manage to undress her again without waking her and get her back to bed. But before the coming of dawn, the same thing happens again. You stop her while her hand is still on the handle of the bedroom door. It is a very strange thing, the sleepwalking, for as soon as her will is thwarted in any physical way, her intention, if there is any, disappears, and she yields herself almost exactly to the routine of her life. Tick off the code word somnambulism and turn to page 541. And, okay, I'm just going to make a quick note. Stayed at home, Lucy sleepwalking again. Is it fair to say it's getting worse? I say it's getting worse. She's getting dressed to go out. As she was getting dressed to go out. Okay, 541. The night's strange distractions are forgotten, and when news reaches the Crescent that the poor sea captain who was found lashed to the wheel of Demeter is to be buried today. If you want to attend the funeral yourself, turn to 603. If not, turn to 561. I think we're going to the funeral. So, Mina goes to funeral. So, 5, 6. Oh no, if you want to attend the funeral yourself, 603. So I'm going to 603. Every boat in the harbour seems to be there for the poor sea captain. Do you want to go up early to watch the procession? Turn to 997. Or would you rather follow the coffin as it is carried up the 199 steps to St Mary's churchyard? I think she'd rather follow the coffin, so we're going to 973. Okay, I'm going to need to flick these pages a bit quicker. 9, 7, 3. Okay, I've seen I'm losing. Well, I'm adding another point to my terror score already, which is nice. The coffin is carried by the captains of the boats all the way from Tate Hill Pier up to the churchyard, with a great many townsfolk and parishioners following after it. You and Lucy included. The poor fellow is finally laid to rest close to your favourite seat, and you see everything. Poor Lucy seems very upset. She is restless and uneasy throughout the funeral service, and you cannot help but think that her walking at night is also taking its toll on her. But she will not admit that there is any cause for restlessness, or if there is any, then she does not understand it herself. There is an additional cause. You learn that poor Mr. Swales was found dead this morning on your very seat, his neck broken. The doctor who examined him at the scene said he must have fallen back on the seat in some sort of fright, for there was a look of fear and horror on his face you hear the men talking about that made even these hardy seafaring folk shudder. Poor dear old man. Add 1 point to your terror score, so we're now at 5. And tick off the code word cadaver. Then turn to 948. I'm just going to, I'm going to tick this off first. Cadaver. Where are we? Where's cadaver? Oh, there it is. I'm just going to refresh my knowledge of what the terror scores do, because I know she's acquiring a few now, and I want to see how many I'm allowed, if that's the right term. Terror. Frightening situations. Okay, so the terror score, I think, comes into its own when you need to take a terror test. Okay. So it can't exceed 24 points and can't drop below 0. So I imagine, let's just say I lose terror points throughout the game. It can never go below 0. Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't sure if, like, I don't know, I'd die of fright or something. So yeah, I want to keep tabs on that. Right, so where was I? 948. Where are we? 948. Right, I'm just going to make a note as well. So we've turned to 948. I'm just going to make a note that Mr. Swales has died of fright. Saw something while on the bench. So that night you complete the day's entry in your journal with Lucy breathing softly in her sleep in the bed next to yours. She seems much improved. You'd be quite content if you only had news of Jonathan. God bless and keep him. You in turn fall asleep as soon as you close your diary. Suddenly, finding yourself awake, you sit up with a horrible sense of fear clawing your heart and a distinct feeling of emptiness around you. The room is dark. So you steal across Lucy's bed and feel for her, but the sheets are empty. Lighting a match, you have your worst fears confirmed. Lucy is not in the room. The door is shut but not locked. just as you left it the night before. Not wanting to wake Lucy's mother, who has been more than usually ill of late, you throw on some clothes and set out to look for Lucy yourself. When you cannot find her anywhere inside the house, taking a heavy shawl with you, you head out to sleep in town. The clock strikes 1 as you leave the crescent. There is not another soul in sight. You run along the north terrace, but see no sign of the white figure, clad in nothing but her nightdress that you were expecting. As the edge of the west cliff above the pier, you look across the east cliff in hope of fear. You're not sure which, of seeing Lucy in your favourite seat. The moon is bright and full with heavy black driving clouds, which throw the whole scene into a fleeting diorama of light and shade as they sail across. For a moment you see nothing, but then the shadow of cloud moves, revealing the first abbey ruins, followed by a church and then the churchyard. And there, on a seat in question, the silver light of the moon strikes a half-reclined snowy white figure. Before the scene is obscured by shadow again, it seems to you as though something dark is standing behind the seat and bent over it. But what was it? Whether man or beast, you don't know. You do not wait to catch another glance, but throw yourself down the steep steps to the pier and along the fish market to the bridge, which is the only way to reach the east cliff. The town seems dead, for not another soul do you see abroad. Your knees tremble and your breath becomes laboured as you toil up the endless steps to the abbey. It seems to you as though your feet are weighted with lead and every joint in your body is restricted with rust. Reaching the top of the winding steps, you can see the seat, and there is undoubtedly something long and black bending over the white figure reclining upon it. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, turn to 902. But if you fail the test, turn to 922. So an ESP 2d6 less than or equal to. So my ESP score is 8. 6. And 3, so that's a 9. So that's a fail. But if you fail the test, turn to 922. Ooh, what does this mean? 9. Lucy, Lucy, you call out in fright as another cloud passes below the face of the moon. Your friend does not answer, and you run onto the entrance of the churchyard. As you enter, the squat church building is between you and the seat, and for a minute you lose sight of her. Gain 2 blood points. And then turn to 842. Ooh. Oh no, gone far too quickly there. Oh, it's the picture of Dracula's castle or estate. As you round the corner of the church, a cloud has passed, and you see Lucy once again transfixed with a beam of brilliant moonlight. Lying with her head hanging over the back of her seat, she's quite alone, and there is no sign of another living thing anywhere nearby. She is asleep, her lips parted, and her breathing coming in long, heavy gasps, as if she is striving to fill her lungs with every breath. As you draw closer, she puts up her hand and pulls up the collar of her nightdress, as though she is feeling the cold. You fling the warm shawl over her and pull the edges tight around her neck, dreading that she might come down with some deadly chill from the cold night air. Unclad as she is, fastening it to her throat with your brooch. Once she is safely wrapped up, you put her shoes on her feet and then begin very gently to wake her. When she does not respond, wishing to get her home at once, you shake her forcibly until she opens her eyes. When you tell her to come home with you, Lucy rises without word, with the obedience of a child. As you leave the churchyard, the gravel hurts your feet, making you wince, but you press on. You make it all the way back to the crescent without meeting a soul. When you get in, you both wash your feet, and having said a prayer of thankfulness together, you tuck Lucy up in bed. However, you are sorry to notice that your clumsiness with the brooch has hurt her, for the skin at her throat is pierced. You must have pinched a little bit of loose skin and transfixed it, for there are 2 little red points like pinpricks, and on the band of her nightdress there is a drop of blood. Before falling asleep, she implores you not to say a word to anyone, least of all her mother, about her sleepwalking adventures. Despite hesitating at first, in the end you accede to her demands. However, before returning to bed yourself, you make sure you lock the door, tying the key to your wrist, so hopefully you will not be disturbed again. Turn to 822. Okay, the castle was for prompt 843. I got a bit too excited then. So 822. And let's go. 8. I think I need to go a bit quicker. Ooh, this is a journal, so I think I'll get +4 to my endurance. So we're back up. We're up to 37 now. So this is a journal entry, Miss Mina's journal, 13th of August, Whitby. Another quiet day into bed with a key on my wrist, as I have done every night since Lucy's nocturnal flight to the churchyard. Having secured both the door and the key, you retire to bed. You do not expect any trouble tonight. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, turn to 777. But if you fail the test, turn to 797. So ESP, 2d6, less than equal her score to pass. So it's an 8. So we need less than an 8 or an 8. So 5. Oh, that's not going to bode well. And 5, 10. We fail again. 797 because we failed. Seven, 9. 797. You wake with the dawn and hear birds chirping outside your bedroom window. Lucy rouses too, and you are glad to see that she is even better than the previous morning. Her old cheerful manner seems to have returned, and she comes and snuggles in beside you and tells you about Arthur. You in turn tell her how anxious you are about Jonathan, and she does her best to comfort you. She succeeds somewhat, for though sympathy cannot alter the facts, it can make them more bearable. Gain 2 blood points. Now 4. And turn to 714. I'm just going to update my notes. So, Lucy bitten by something. Mina Copen, but missing Jonathan. Okay, so gain 2 points, then turn to prompt 714. 714. Oh, this is another journal entry, so she's got 41 endurance points now. Mina Murray's journal, 17th of August, Whitby. No diary for 2 whole days. I have not yet had the heart to write. Some sort of shadowy pall seems to be coming over our happiness. There is still no news from Jonathan, and Lucy seems to be growing weaker, whilst you fear her mother's days are numbering to a close. You do not understand how Lucy can be wasting away as she is. She eats well and sleeps well and enjoys the fresh air, but all the time the roses in her cheeks are fading, and she's getting weaker and more languid day by day. Worst of all, at night, you hear her gasping for air. You keep the key to your door fastened to your wrist at night, but she still gets up and walks about the room, or sits at the open window. Last night you found her leaning out when you woke up, and you tried to wake her. You could not rouse her. She was in a faint. When you did finally manage to restore her, she was as weak as water and cried silently between long, painful struggles for breath. When you asked her how she came to be at the window, she simply shook her head and turned away. You have studied her throat while she lay sleeping, and were horrified to find the tiny wounds have not yet healed. If anything, they are larger than before, and the edges of them are faintly white. Unless they heal within a day or 2, you determine to insist on a doctor taking a look at them. Ooh, Lucy's taken a turn for the worse. 694. Okay, what's going to be revealed next? 694. Come on, where are you? Oh, this is another diary entry. I think actually she's exceeded her endurance points. I think I'm at the maximum still. Because I remember reading now. I might just look up. It's in the okay, maybe you can add to it and it goes above like what it's capped at. So I think she got 4 from that diary entry there. So that will be, is that 45? And this one will be take up to 49, apparently. Okay, so 694 is a letter from Sister Agatha, Hospital St. Thomas and St. Mary, Budapest, to Miss Mina Murray. Dear Madam, I write by desire of Mr. Jonathan Harker, who is in himself not strong enough to write, though progressing well, thanks to God and St. Joseph and St. Mary. He has been under our care for nearly 6 weeks, suffering from a violent brain fever. He wishes me to convey his love and say that by this post I write for him to Mr. Peter Hawkins, Exeter, to say with his dutiful respect that he is sorry for his delay and all of his work is completed. He will require some few weeks' rest in our sanatorium in the hills, but will then return. He wishes me to say that he has not sufficient money with him and that he would like to pay for his staying here so that others who need shall not be wanting for help. Yours with sympathy and all blessings, Sister Agatha. P.S. My patient has been... P.S. My patient being asleep, I open this to let you know something more. He has told me all about you and that you are shortly to be his wife. All blessings to you both. He has had some fearful shocks, as says our doctor, and in his delirium, his ravings have been dreadful, of wolves and poison and blood. Where are we? Of ghosts and demons, and I fear to say of what. Be careful with him always, that there may be nothing to excite him of this kind for a long time to come. The traces of such an illness as his do not lightly die away. We should have written long ago, but we knew nothing of his friends. Be assured that he is well cared for. He has won all our hearts by his sweetness and gentleness. He is truly getting on well, and I have no doubt will in a few weeks be all himself. But be careful of him for safety's sakes. There are, I pray God, St. Joseph and St. Mary, many, many happy years for you both. Ooh, that is interesting. So he hasn't been very well this whole time, which is why Mina hasn't heard from him. So we're going to 674. 6, 7. I think it's the next one back. 6, 7. .674 Mina Murray's journal, 19th of August, Whitby. I think that's another 4 points. I will take these off if I'm incorrect, but so she's not 53 endurance now. I mean, is there a reason they're building up? Who knows? Is she going to take on Dracula at some point? So it begins. At last news of Jonathan, the dear fellow has been ill, and that is why he did not write. I am not afraid to think it or say it now that I know. Mr. Hawkins sent a letter on to you and wrote himself, the good Christian soul that he is. You are to leave in the morning and travel to be with your fiancé in Budapest, and help nurse him if necessary and ultimately bring him home. Mr. Hawkins says it would not be a bad thing if the two of you were to be married while you are there. You have cried over your good sister's letter until you can feel it wet against your bosom, where it lies. For it is of Jonathan, must be near your heart. Your journey is mapped out and your luggage ready. You are only taking one change of dress. Lucy will take your trunk to London and keep it until you send for it. If you wish to continue the story as Mina Murray, turn to 13. If you wish to continue as John Stewart, turn to 691. Well, I already said I want to play as Mina throughout this story, so we're going to turn to page 13. Or prompt 13, should I say. I keep saying pages when I mean prompt. Okay, 13. Oh, it's another journal entry, so 53 at 4, 57. My dearest Lucy, I know you'd be anxious to hear all that has happened since we parted. Oh, before I begin, this is a letter, Mina Harker to Lucy, Westenra, Budapest, 24th of August. My dearest Lucy, I know you'd be anxious to hear all that has happened since we parted at the railway station at Whitby. Well, my dear, I got to Hull all right and caught the boat to Hamburg, then a train on here. I can hardly recall anything of the journey except that I knew I was coming to Jonathan. I found my dear one, oh so thin and pale and weak-looking. All the resolution has gone from his dear eyes, and that quiet dignity which I told you was in his face has vanished. He is only a wreck of himself, and he does not remember anything that's happened to him for a long time past. At least he wants me to believe so, and I shall never ask. He has some terrible shock, and I fear it might tax his poor brain if he were to try and recall it. Sister Agatha, who is a good creature, was born a nurse, tells me that he raved of dreadful things while he was off his head. Sorry. I wanted her to tell me what they were, but she would only cross herself and say the ravings of the sick were the secrets of God. She is a sweet good soul, and the next day when she saw I was troubled still, after saying that she could never mention what my poor dear raved about, added, I can tell you this much, my dear, that it was not about anything which he has done wrong himself, and for you as his wife to be, have no cause to be concerned. His fear was of great and terrible things, which no mortal mind can bear. I waited by his bedside until he awoke. After we had remade our promises of love to each other, he asked me for his coat, as he wanted to get something from the pocket. I asked Sister Agatha, and she brought all his things. I saw that amongst them was his notebook, and was going to ask him to let me look at it, in the hope that I might find some clue to his trouble contained within. When he said to me very solemnly, Wilhelmina, I know that he was in... Okay. Wilhelmina, I know then that he was in deadly earnest. You know, dear, my ideas of the trust between husband and wife. There should be no secret, no concealment. I have had a great shock, and when I try to recall what it was, I do not know if it was real or the dreaming of a madman. You know I have a brain fever, and that is to be mad. The secret is here, and I do not want to know it. I want to take up my life again here with our marriage. Here is a book. Take it and keep it. Read it if you will, but never let me know unless indeed some solemn duty should come upon me to go back to the bitter hours, asleep or awake, sane or mad, recorded here. He fell back exhausted, and I put the book under his pillow and kissed him. I asked Sister Agatha to beg the Mother Superior to let our wedding be that afternoon, and so the chaplain of the English Mission Church was sent for. Jonathan woke a little after the hour and was all ready, and he sat up in bed, propped up with pillows. He answered his, I will, firmly and strongly, and I could hardly speak. My heart was so full that even those words seemed to choke me. When the chaplain and the sisters had left me alone with my husband, I took the book from under his pillow and wrapped it up in white paper, and tied with a little bit of pale blue ribbon, which is around my neck, and sealed it over the knot, with sealing wax. And for my seal I used my wedding ring, and then I kissed it and showed it to my husband, and told him that I'd keep it so, and that it would be an outward and visible sign for us all, our lives, that we trusted each other, that I'd never open it unless it were for his own dear sake or for the sake of some stern duty. Then he took my hand in his and said it was the dearest thing in all the wide world, and I told him that he had made me the happiest woman in all the wide world. And my dear, when he kissed me and drew me to him with his poor weak hands, it was like a very solemn pledge between us. Lucy, dear, I tell you all this because you've been and are very dear to me. Please, Almighty God, may your life be all it promises, a long day of sunshine with no harsh wind, no forgetting duty, no distrust. I must wish you no pain, for that can never be, but I do hope you will be always as happy as I am now. Goodbye, my dear. I must stop, for Jonathan is waking, and must attend to my husband. Your ever-loving Mina Harker. Turn to prompt 44. Okay, so I might make some quick notes again. So, because a lot has happened. So, Mina has travelled to... I'm pronouncing it Budapest, but I think it's actually spelled slightly differently, but I think it is alluding to that. To meet Jonathan. She is married. I might put in Lucy took her to station because it implies she's healing, but we probably know she's not. She's married. Okay. So what was we on? Was it prompt 44? It is September before you return to England, but when you set foot on English soil again, it is as a married couple. You have never felt happier despite all you've been through. As a wedding gift, the Sisters of St. Joseph and St. Mary give you each a phial of holy water, and the holy water of your adventure sheet. Oh, add it to your adventure sheet. Oh, sweet. Equipment. Holy water. So a vial of holy water. When you arrive in Exeter, you find a carriage waiting for you, and in it, although he's not been well himself, Mr. Hawkins, he takes you to his house where comfortable rooms have been readied for you, and that evening you dine together. After dinner, Mr. Hawkins raises his glass, saying, my dears, I want to drink to your health and prosperity. May every blessing attend you both. I have known you both since you were children, and now I want you to know, I want you to make your home here with me. I have neither wife nor child, and in my will I have left you everything. It is a very happy ending indeed. But the following morning makes you sad, as the previous evening made you happy, where poor Mr. Hawkins is found to have died unexpectedly during the night. In accordance with his will together, you inherit everything, the house, the business, and a fortune to people of your modest upbringing is wealth beyond the dream of avarice. Mr. Hawkins also stipulated in his will that he wanted to be buried next to where his father lies interred in London. Your service is very simple and very solemn. There are only yourselves and servants in attendance, along with one or two of Mr. Hawkins' old friends from Exeter, his London agent and a gentleman represented Incorporated Law Society. The two of you stand together hand in hand and feel that your best and dearest friend is gone. Turn to 60. Oh, that's a shame. So make a quick note of that. Mr. Hawkins has passed. Mina and Jonathan have inherited everything. Turn to prompt 60. Ooh. Oh, I think that little bat sign means I can change characters if I want. I may, actually, I will refresh my brain now for what it says. Mina. Whenever you see a bat icon beneath a section number, rather than read that section, add 20 to the number, turn to the new section immediately and read that one instead. So 60, add 20, so that becomes 80. Right, okay. So I was reading that, actually. It reads from the perspective of someone else, I think Mina's husband. Glad I didn't read that then. 80, here we go. After the funeral, excuse me, after the funeral, you take the bus to Hyde Park Corner and from there walk down Piccadilly, Jonathan holding you by the arm. You are looking at a very beautiful girl in a big cartwheel hat sitting in the carriage outside Giuliano's, the jeweller's, when Jonathan suddenly clutches your arm so tightly that you give a startled gasp of pain, and he hisses under his breath, "My God!" Always living with the fear that some nervous fit may upset him again at any moment, you quickly turn to your husband and ask him what has disturbed him so. He is very pale, his eyes bulging from his head, half in terror and half in amazement, and you realise he is staring at a tall, thin man with a beaky nose, black moustache and pointed beard, who is also observing the pretty girl. He is looking at her so hard that he does not see either of you, and you have a good view of him. His face is hard and cruel and sensual, and his big white teeth look all the whiter because his lips are so red, are pointed like an animal's. "Do you see who that is?" says Jonathan, who is staring so intently at the stranger that you start to worry the man will notice. "No, dear," you reply. "I don't know him. Who is it?" His answer both shocks and thrills you. "It is the man himself," he hisses in abject terror. "Take an ESP test. Turn to 164 if you fail the test and 187 if you pass." So ESP is 2d6 less than or equal to my ESP score, which I think is 8. So that's a 5 and a 2. So that is 7. Did that ever change my ESP? No, I don't think it did. 7, so I pass. So if you pass a test, turn to 164. Okay, right, so although you are sure you have never seen the man before, nonetheless there is something strangely familiar about him. It is if he projects an aura that your subconscious mind senses, and in doing so, finds something familiar about the dark stranger. The sensation is most unsettling, and the ice-water chill trickles down your spine. At one point, your terror score, oh my God, 6. But deduct 1 blood point. Okay. I think I've got 3 now. It is the Count, says Jonathan, his voice barely more than a whisper, but he has somehow turned back the years and grown young again. He is patently distressed, and so you gently draw him away, finding a comfortable seat in a shady place in Green Park. It is a hot day for autumn, and Jonathan soon falls asleep, with his head on your shoulder. Seeing him like this caused you great anxiety, for you fear his condition could cause or equally be the result of some injury to the brain. Perhaps the time has come when you must open the parcel wrapped in the white paper and tied with the pale blue ribbon and learn what is written within Jonathan's notebook. Oh, it's getting good. 218. Actually, where was I? 218. You head home after the traumatic encounter, but more bad news awaits you when you return to Exeter in the form of a telegram. Telegram Van Helsing, London to Mr. and Mrs. Harker, Exeter, 22nd of September. You will be grieved to hear that Mrs. Westenra died 5 days ago and that Lucy died the day before yesterday. They were both buried today. What a wealth of sorrow and few words. Poor Mrs. Westenra, poor Lucy, gone, never to return. If you wish to continue the story as Mina Harker, turn to 242. If you want to continue as Jonathan Harker, turn to 239. Ooh. Okay, so we never found out what was in that letter. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely on the right prompt. If you wish to continue the story as Mina Harker, which I do, 242. Oh, yeah, because there's dead flies there as well. 242. Mina Harker's journal. I'm adding 4 to my endurance again. I don't know if this is correct, because I keep adding this. 58, 59, 60. Say 61. Mina Harker's journal, 23rd of September. Jonathan is better after a bad night. I am so glad that he has plenty of work to do, for that keeps his mind off terrible things. Deeply saddened as you are by the passing of your dear friend Lucy, nonetheless you are able to take some small pleasure in seeing Jonathan shake off the insidious malaise that seemed to follow him home from the continent. You rejoice that your husband is not weighed down by the responsibility of his new position, now that he is senior partner of the firm Hawkins, Allman and Lee. With all that entails, you feel proud to see him rising to the height of his advancement and keeping pace with all the duties that have come upon him. Knowing that he will be away all day till late with your household duties done for the day, your mind turns to the journal he kept whilst he was away for all those months in Transylvania. If you want to read Jonathan's journal while you're alone, turn to 272. If you prefer not to know what torments he was forced to endure while staying in the benighted region, turn to 307. I think we'll go 272. She has to know. She has to know. 272. Locking yourself in your room, you begin to read the journal Jonathan kept while he was Dracula's guest. You do not finish until the sun is setting and you hear Jonathan's key in the door. Poor dear, how he must have suffered. Whether what you have read is a truth or merely the projections of an overactive imagination, you wonder if there's any truth in his terrible stories of bloodthirsty walls, phantom women, and the coffin-dwelling count. They certainly terrify you, and you think that they might have happened to your dear husband makes it doubly worse. Add 2 points to your terror score. God. Did your husband come down with his brain fever and then write all those terrible things? Or, impossible as it seems, could there be some kernel of truth behind his rambling and diary entries? He certainly believes it all himself. He seemed quite certain that he recognised the man you saw walking abroad on the streets of the capital, and his journal, Jonathan said that the fearful Count was coming to London, if the monstrous Count has come to London with his teeming millions. You sense that some fearful solemn duty will come knocking at your door before too long, and it does. You and Jonathan cannot permit yourselves to shrink from it. Oh, tick off the code word scientia, and deduct 1 blood point. Right. So that's 2. Okay, Dracula seems to be getting a bit weaker, which is good. Scientia, where are you? Yes, we ticked off quite a lot of words, actually, which is quite cool. Turn to page 307. Letter Van Helsing to Mrs. Harker, 24th of September. I'm going to add 4 to my endurance again. Not sure if I'm doing this right, but it's fine. We're at 65. Dear Madam, I pray you to pardon my writing, for I sent you sad news of Miss Lucy Westenra's death. By the kindness of Lord Godalming, I am empowered to read her letters and papers, for I am deeply concerned about certain matters vitally important. In them I found some letters from you, which show what great friends you were and how you loved her. Oh, Madam Mina, by that love, I implore you, help me. It's for others' good that I ask to redress a great wrong and lift many terrible troubles that may be more great than you can know. May I see you? You can trust me. I'm a friend of Dr. John Stewart and Lord Godalming. That was Miss Lucy's Arthur. I will come to Exeter and see you at once if you tell me I can. I implore your pardon, Madame. I have read your letters to poor Lucy and know how good you are and how your husband has suffered. So I pray you, if it may be, enlighten him not, lest it may cause him harm. Again, I beg your pardon and please forgive me. Van Helsing. So we're going to turn to 359. You cannot help but feel excited as the time draws near for Professor Van Helsing's visit. Even though the reason for his coming is to find out more about Lucy's illness, you hope that he will also be able to throw some light upon your poor husband's experience. And as you attended your dear friend in her dying days, he can tell you all about her. She must have told him of her sleepwalking adventure on the cliff, and now he wants you to tell him what you know. That awful night on the cliff must have made her ill. Caught up in your own affairs of your journey to Budapest, your marriage to Jonathan, and your subsequent return to England, and Mr. Hawkins' sudden passing, you had almost forgotten how poorly she was afterwards. Professor Van Helsing must be a good man as well as a clever one, if he is a friend to both Arthur and Dr. Stewart, and if they brought him all the way from Holland to look after Lucy. It is 2:30 when the knock comes. In a few minutes, Mary, your maidservant, opens the door and announces Professor Van Helsing. You rise and bow and he comes towards you. He's a man of medium weight, strongly built, with his shoulders set back over a broad, deep chest. The poise of his head strikes you at once, as he's been indicative of thought and power. Mrs. Harker, is it not? That was Miss Mina Murray. You nod. Madam Mina, it is on account of the dead that I come. Taking your hand, he says, I have read your letters to Miss Lucy, and I know that you were with her at Whitby. She sometimes kept a diary, and in it she traced an inference, certain things to an incident of sleepwalking, in which she puts down that you saved her. Please tell me all that you can remember of that night. And so you relate how you woke to find Lucy gone from her bed and followed her to the churchyard atop the East Cliff, only to see her attacked by some manner of red-eyed beast. The professor listens intently as you tell your story, and only speaks when you are done. Madam Mina, is there anything else that I should know about your time in Whitby? Did you witness anything else out of the ordinary? Anything you observed yourself or any strange occurrences? Have you heard any strange occurrences you heard about the time, perhaps? How many of the following code words have you ticked off? Ooh, let's have a look. We don't have Barghast, but we have Demeter and Azrael. So that is 2. So we need to go to page 418, or prompt 418, should I say, not page. 418. And so you share with the professor every strange thing that occurred while you stayed in Whitby with Lucy and Mrs. Westenra. Hearing yourself tell another human being what happened, you would barely be able to believe such tall tales yourself if it were not for the fact you witnessed such terrible things firsthand. When you are done, Van Helsing takes your hands in his and his bushy eyebrows beat and says, Oh, Madame Mina, how can I express why I owe you? I am grateful to you. You so clever. Oh, I am grateful to you, you so clever woman. And if I ever Abraham Van... Okay, I'm going to read that again. Oh, Madam Mina, and how can I express why I owe you? I am grateful to you, you so clever woman. And if ever Abraham Van Helsing can do anything for you or yours, I trust you will let me know. Deduct 2 blood points. We're down to 0. And turn to page 457. 4. Now, madame, tell me of your husband. Is he quite well? Seizing the opportunity, you share with the professor your concerns about Jonathan. You tell him how your beloved came into the care of Sister Agatha and the nuns of the Hospital of St. Joseph and St. Mary in Budapest, and how the sisters wrote to you on his behalf, summoning you to his bedside, of the terrible brain fever he suffered, and the hallucinations of the terrible things he believed he had witnessed in Castle Dracula, brought on by the malady. Is all that fever gone? Van Helsing asks, and he is strong and hearty. He was almost recovered, but has been greatly upset by Mr. Hawkins' death, you reply. And when we were in London on Thursday last, he had a relapse. A shock, and so soon after a brain fever. That is not good. What kind of shock was it? He thought he saw someone who recalled to his mind something terrible, something which led to his brain fever. Since yesterday I've been some sort of fever of my own, a fever of doubt. Please be kind and do not think me foolish that I've even ever half believed some strange things. I have learned not to think little of anyone's beliefs, the professor reassures you. I try to keep an open mind when it comes to strange things, extraordinary things that would make one wonder if one was mad or sane. Hearing Van Helsing's words, you feel like a great weight has been taken off your mind, and decide it would be best if he were to read Jonathan's journal and draw his own conclusions regarding your husband's condition, which he duly does, reading at a rapid speed that is quite astonishing. When he's done, he closes the notebook and, smiling at you, says, "You may sleep without doubt. Strange and terrible as your husband's diary is, it is true. I will pledge my life on it. And knowing now what he did and the courage he displayed in doing so, I believe that he will be all right. But I will speak with him myself." And that is precisely what he does the very next morning when Jonathan calls upon him at his hotel. To have his terrible tale believed by another, and to have it confirmed that he has not lost his sanity, and by such a man of science and intellect as Professor Van Helsing, makes a new man of him, and seeing the transformation that has come over your husband lifts your own spirits and helps banish some of your fears for the future. Deduct 1 point from your terror score. Finally, because I've just been picking those up left, right and centre. So we're at 7. Jonathan returns from seeing the professor off at the station and tells you that he's agreed on behalf of both you that you will travel up to London again, and he should send for you. Your husband has spoken for you, and in this matter you are both of one mind. Turn to page 348. So 348. Oh, this is a telegram. I think she gets another 4. Is that 69 now? Telegram. Mrs. Harker exited to Van Helsing, the Berkeley Hotel, London. 29th of September. I'm come up by train, Jonathan at Whitby. Important news. Mina Harker. It is only a matter of days before you hear from Professor Van Helsing again, asking you both to travel to London to meet with Lucy's former suitors, who are to join you and Jonathan in putting an end to the Count's nefarious schemes. But he also sent Jonathan the task of finding out what happened to the cargo that was brought to England on board the doomed Demeter. While Jonathan sets off for Whitby to try to trace that horrid cargo of the Count's, you take the train alone from Exeter to London. You arrive later that day at Paddington Station, where you are met by Lucy's brave Dr. Seward. You recognise him immediately, telling him, "I know you from Lucy's description of you." You ride the Underground together across London, and upon reaching Fenchurch Street Station, from there take another train, this time arriving to Purfleet. In due course you arrive at Carfax Asylum, where you discover that Dr. Stewart has had his housekeeper prepare a sitting room and bedroom for you. Staying a night at the asylum. Having tidied yourself up after a long day of travel, you go down to Dr. Stewart's study. At the door you pause as you can hear him talking with someone. You knock and he immediately calls out, "Come in." You enter, but to your intense surprise there is no one with him. "I hope I did not keep you waiting," you say. "But I stayed at the door as I heard you talking and thought there was someone with you." "Oh, I was only entering my diary," he replies with a smile. "I keep it in this." As he speaks, he lays a hand on a device on the table opposite, which you instantly recognise as a phonograph. "Why, this beats even shorthand," you burst out excitedly. "May I hear it say something?" "Certainly," he replies, and makes the necessary changes to set it up for playback. But then he pauses, a troubled look on his face. "The fact is, I only keep my diary in it, which is almost entirely about my patients. That is, I mean. You helped me attend dear Lucy at the end," you tell him, trying to help him out of his embarrassment. "Let me hear how she died, for she was very, very dear to me." He takes some persuading, but in the end he agrees. "Do you know, although I've kept a diary for months, I never once considered how I was going to find any particular part of it, in case I wanted to look it up. Your mind is made up for the diary of a doctor who attended Lucy might have something to add to some of your knowledge about the terrible being you must run to the ground. And so you say quite boldly, 'Then, Dr. Stewart, you had better let me copy it out for you on my typewriter.' You set to your work immediately. You have already transcribed your own diary, starting from the day you arrived in Whitby, as of that horrible journal Jonathan kept while he was in Transylvania. You do not complete your task until late the following afternoon. In transcribing the good doctor's phonograph cylinders, you become morbidly fascinated by his Zoophagous, I think that's right, patient, Mr. Renfield, to the point where you wonder what it would be like to meet him. Do you want to take your courage in both hands and ask to see the deranged lunatic Or would you prefer to have nothing to do with a madman, no matter how much his case might intrigue you? Should we go to 186? Let's meet this poor person they call a lunatic. Good grief. 186. Let's have a look. Oh, gone too far. At 5 o'clock that evening, when you present the finished bundle of typewritten pages to your host, you recognise it as a perfect opportunity. Dr. Stewart, may I ask you a favour? I want to see your patient, Mr. Renfield. What you have said of him in your diary interests me greatly. Do let me see him. It seems that he cannot refuse you, and so to your great relief, he accedes to your request. You enter Renfield's cell to find Dr. Seward's patient sitting on the edge of his bed, head down, but with his eyelids raised so that his eyes follow you as soon as you enter the chamber. Although his dishevelled condition takes you aback, you nonetheless hold out your hand to him and address him. Good evening, Mr. Renfield. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, return to 217. But if you fail the test, return to 241. Okay, ESP, we need to get 8 or lower. 4. Oh, and 6. That is a 10. We definitely fail. 241, because we failed. Oh, I need to go back. No, forwards, but not that much. 2. The lunatic suddenly jumps up from the bed, snarling like a beast, and before Dr. Seward or any of the asylum's attendees can stop him, grabs you by the throat and pushes you against the wall of his cell. Dr. Seward acts swiftly, seizing the madman and pulling him from you, crying out for help. As the attendants rush to restrain Mr. Renfield, Dr. Seward leads you from the cell. The experience leaves you feeling shaken and upset. Oh my God, I've lost 2 endurance points. That's 6. And add 1 to your terror score. Oh, we're doing so well. Back to 8. Once he's given you restorative brandy, the doctor leaves you for the station to meet Professor Van Helsing while you wait in your room for Jonathan to arrive. Ooh, so it's heating up a bit. So I haven't written much of this down, but to recap, obviously she's been talking to Van Helsing now, who is keen to find out more about her husband's condition in Transylvania. He was referred on to Dr. Seward, who is in charge of a, mental health facility. And she wants to learn about what Dr. Seward knew of Lucy, which has then piqued her curiosity, and she wanted to speak to a patient at the mental health facility. And that's where we are now. She's just been attacked by this patient, and Dr. Seward has given her brandy while she goes on to meet Van Helsing. So we're turning to page 592. Oh, my word, this is looks like a big read. Oh, this is a very big read, potentially. 591. 592. Oof. 2 hours after supper, 6 of you gather in Dr. Seward's study and take your places around the table. Like some impromptu committee, Professor Van Helsing takes the head of the table and makes the necessary instructions. My friends, in recent days we've all witnessed terrible things and have seen evidence of corrupt and evil working within the world. But I believe that we 6 have a chance to put an end to it, for we're uniquely best that our band has many skills that will help us overcome our enemy and thwart his dastardly plans for conquest. We have Mr. Harker, who not only survived the horrors he encountered within the monster's lair, but had the courage to escape its confines, and whose solicitor's eye for detail has only increased our knowledge, and thereby the likely success of our scheme since returning to England. And we have Mrs. Harker, who has also witnessed firsthand the powers the Blackguard can command, and whose scrupulous secretarial skills mean that we have a complete record of the monster's actions to date, as it is possible to have. Thanks to Lord Godalming's considerable resources, we need not want for anything in our fight against this foreign invader. Be it bullets or train tickets, he has kindly said that it will cover all costs, and along with Arthur's generosity, we have Mr. Quincy Morris's courage and redoubtable combat skills. With this brave Texan in our midst, we shall take the fight to the enemy and win. Then there is my friend, Dr. John Stewart, whose medical knowledge rivals my own, and whose insights into the workings of the mind are even greater. Fortuitously, or is it in the hand of fate, aiding us in our endeavour? His study of a patient in his care, a certain Mr. Renfield himself, formerly an employee of Hawkins, Oldman, Lee and Exeter, that's interesting, has helped us learn where we must begin the hunt for the fiend. But before we do, I must tell you something of the kind of enemy we now face. For you must understand there are such things as vampires. There is much evidence that they exist. I admit that at first I myself was a skeptic, and alas, had I known from the outset what I know now to be true, the life of dear Miss Westenra might have been saved. But sadly she is gone, and so we must work to ensure that other poor souls perish while we cannot save them. Oh, perish not while we save them. The Nosferatu do not die like the bee when he stings but once. He is stronger, and being stronger has more power to do evil. This vampire which we now seek to destroy has a strength of 20 men. He has grown cunning through the ages, and through the power of necromancy the dead are his to command. He is the devil himself, able to bend the elements to his will, the storm, the fog, the thunder, and he can command the meaner forms of life, the rat, the bat, the moth, and the wolf. Remember from earlier, the wolf from the Demeter ship. How then are we to begin the crusade to put an end to him? How shall we find where he is hiding? Having found it, how shall we put an end to him? My friends, it is a terrible task that we are about to undertake, and there may be consequences that would make a brave man shudder. But if we fail in our task, he will surely win. And to fail here is not merely a matter of life or death. It is that we become as he is, foul things of the night without compassion or conscience, preying on the bodies and the souls of those we love best. The gates of heaven, shut to us forever, abhorred by all, a blot on the face of God's creation. And to fail here is not merely a matter of life or death. Oh no, I've already read a bit. It is our duty to face him and destroy him, and who would shrink from such duty? What say you? Are you with me? Everyone replies raucously in the affirmative. You all agree wholeheartedly not to rest until the monster has been vanquished. And so you all join hands, and your solemn pact is made. And now, says Van Helsing, let us share all we have learnt about the monster we face, as he proceeds to go round the table, asking each of you in turn to share with the rest what you have personally experienced, witnessed, and discovered. Ooh, how many of the code words have you ticked off? Well, we haven't got anthropology, I know that. We don't have Barbestla, but we do have bogey, so that's 1. We have cadaver, 2. We've got Demeter, 3. We don't have Desmodinite, if that's how you pronounce that. I don't think I ever had a chance to tick off lunatic. Did it tell me to do that? Monomania, nope. Psychopathia, nope. Scientia I have. Slave, somnambulism, yep, that's 5. Strigoi, Terkep, Tuka, Zoo. No, that came up though. Okay, so I have 5. Turn to 8, 8, 9. Oh. Oh, 889, 889. 8, 8, 9. It does not take you long to share what you know, as between you have not actually learned very much. You hope that the professor has learnt more than you during his sojourns to Amsterdam. Gain 2 blood points. Oh no, he's getting powerful. And turn to 978. Okay. Oh, that's a bit of a letdown. I thought it was going to be a collaborative, like a work session. 978. When everyone else has had a chance to speak, Arthur rises from his seat at the table. Professor, you mentioned that the monster has grown cunning through the ages, not years, ages. The vampire cannot die by the mere passing of time, and he flourishes on the blood of the living, Van Helsing explains. And having feasted, he can even grow younger, but he cannot flourish without his diet. Even Jonathan, who lived with him for weeks, never saw him eat. He casts no shadow and makes no reflection in the mirror. He can change his shape. He can come in the form of mist, and he can see in the dark. He can do all these things, and yet he's not free to come and go as he pleases. Interesting. He may not enter anywhere unless he's been invited in. His power ceases with the coming of the day, at which time he must return to his hiding place within unhallowed ground, such as a grave of a suicide. Oh, good grief. Okay, remember from the beginning, the man at the cliff? There is a trigger warning in that section of the video, but if you did listen to that, I've got a feeling his grave may be tied to this. It is also said that he cannot pass over running water. Then there are things which can harm him, including garlic and holy artifacts, a crucifix, the host. There are others too. A branch of wild rose in his coffin will keep him from leaving it. A sacred bullet fired in his coffin will kill him truly dead, as well as stake driven through his heart and having his head cut off. If we can find where the monster is hiding, we can confine him to his coffin and destroy him, if we obey what we know. But we must ever be watchful and wary, for he is clever. For a moment, the only sound in the room is a tick of the clock on the mantelpiece. So who was this Count Dracula when he was but a mortal man, says Arthur. I asked my friend Arminius of Budapest University to find out the answer to this very question, scouring all the ancient chronicles and documents that are available to him, and he is certain that he was once the Voivode Dracula, who won the title of warlord, fighting against the Turks at the frontier of the Ottoman Empire on the borders of Wallachia. Even then, he was no common man, for at the time of his reign and for centuries after, he was spoken of as the cleverest and most cunning, as well as the bravest of the sons of the land beyond the forest. That mighty intellect and iron resolution went with him to his grave, and are even now arrayed against us. The Draculas were a great and noble race. Although there are rumours that certain scions had dealings with the devil, they learned their secrets in the Scholomance, a school of black magic, hidden among the mountains. In one manuscript, this very Dracula is spoken of as Vampire, a name we recognise all too well. And now we must decide upon a course of action. Picking up the chronological account that comprises the contents of 3 diaries as well as telegrams, letters and newspaper clippings, he says, we have much data and we must proceed to plan our campaign. We know from the inquiry of Jonathan that from the castle to Whitby came 50 boxes of earth, of which were delivered at Carfax. It seems to me that our first step should be to ascertain whether if they remain in the grounds of Carfax House or whether any have been removed. Take an ESP test. If you pass, turn to 4-8. If you fail, go to 4-2-7. That's 3 and a 1. Oh, I think I passed because my ESP is 6. 408. I can feel it heating up now. Professor Van Helsing's words fade into the background as your subconscious seeks to tell you something and you find your attention wandering to the window. The curtains have yet been drawn and you can see something, a dark shape scratching at the glass, clinging to the windowsill. There's something at the window, you cry, interrupting the professor, but then it is gone. Quincy Morris jumps to his feet and rushes out the room, while Arthur flies to the window and throws up the sash. From outside the house comes the sound of a pistol shot, and a moment later you hear Quincy call the rest of you, still in the study. It was a bat and a big brute too. Did you hit it? Asked Van Helsing. I don't know, comes Quincy's reply, but I fancy not. It flew away into the woods. Deduct a blood point. So now we have 1. And turn to 4-2-7. There is no time to lose, urges the professor. We must find those boxes, and if we encounter our enemy, we must kill this monster in his lair. But if he eludes us, we must nonetheless sterilise the earth they contain, so he can never again seek shelter within them. And if any have been removed, we must trace their whereabouts. If you wish to continue the story as Jonathan Harker, turn to 4. If you wish to continue as Mina Harker, turn to 229. And if you want to continue the adventure as Dr. John Seward, turn to 446. Oh, I want to be Mina Harker still. We're holding in there, so that's 229. I thought I did something wrong then as I only saw Jonathan Harker, but luckily it's all 3. Right, 229. 229. $229. Ooh, now this looks good. I like this illustration here. And for now, you, Madam Mina, the professor says, addressing you directly, this marks the end of your part in the proceedings until all is well. You are too precious to risk taking with us. We are men and able to bear what must happen this night, but you remain our star and our hope, and we shall act all the more freely, knowing you are not in danger. All the men, especially your husband, seem relieved, but it does not make sense to you that they should brave any danger without you, and perhaps lessen their strength in numbers by excluding you. Nonetheless, their minds are made up, And although it is a bitter pill for you to swallow, you can do nothing save accept their well-intentioned care of you. As the 5 of them prepare for what must be done, this very night you retire to your rooms, although you doubt you will be able to sleep when the man you love is in peril. In the end, you settle for lying down pretending to sleep. You do not feel at all sleepy, but are possessed of a devouring anxiety. You keep going over in your mind everything that has occurred, and it seems to be like some horrible tragedy. If you had not gone to Whitby, perhaps poor dear Lucy would still be alive if she didn't take to visiting a churchyard after you arrived. And if she hadn't gone there during the day with you, she would not have walked there in her sleep. And if she had not gone there at night, Count would not have destroyed her as he did. And so in that you cry yourself to sleep. Your sleep is disturbed by sound of praying coming, you believe, Mr. Renfeld's cell, but it is a sudden profound silence that startles you and causes you to get up. You look out the window, all is dark and silent, the black shadows thrown by the moonlight, possessed of the soundless mystery of their own. Nothing, not a thing seems stirring, but all is grim and fixed as death. There is one thing moving in the still of the night. A thin white mist is creeping with an utmost imperceptible slowness across the lawn towards the asylum, as if it has a sentience and a vitality of its own. You return to bed and pull your bedclothes over your head, as a leaden lethargy comes over you and you fall back to sleep. And as you sleep, you dream. You are lying in bed, but your limbs are so heavy you feel you could not move even if you wanted to. It begins to dawn on you that the air is heavy, dank and cold. All is dim, the gaslight you left lit for Jonathan appearing as tiny as a red spark through the thick fog that fills the room. You watch the fog get thicker and thicker until it looks like a concentrated pillar of cloud, and in the middle of the room, through top of which you can just make out the light of the gas, which then divides and seems to shine upon you like 2 red eyes, and then the eyes are not shining through the fog, but are set within a livid white face, bending over from you from out of the mist. As a horror seizes you, everything fades to darkness. When Jonathan wakes you later the following day, you do not feel rested at all. In fact, you feel more weary than when you retired to bed last night, and the face in the mist with its blazing red eyes returns to haunt you every time you close your eyes. Deduct 2 endurance points. No. Oh my God. Okay, that's fine. So I've got loads of those. 67. Add 1 to my terror score. That's 9. Turn to 269. Apparently, some of the boxes of experimental earth that were delivered to Carfax South have since been moved to some other place, as yet unknown. It's Jonathan who is given the job of locating them, and you're sure that his eye for detail and logical lawyer's mind are more than up to the task. But the memory of last night's nightmare worries you, like a terrier worrying at the carcass of a rat it has caught. If you want to seek out Dr. Stewart in the hope that it might be able to prescribe you something to help you sleep better tonight, turn to 338. If you prefer not to bother the young doctor when he must have so much on his mind, turn to 298. Do you know what? I think we're going to turn to 298. She won't bother him. I think she's kind of annoyed, like, just, you know. She's worried that perhaps they see her as, like, a weak female. So, yeah. You spend the day fretfully walking the grounds, reading in your room and conversing with all the attendants of Carfax Asylum. But you're unable to settle any one thing. You try to get some rest, but find yourself unable to sleep while your husband is away. Jonathan returns to London at last, later that evening. After dinner, while the men meet again in Dr. Stewart's study to discuss developments, you retire to bed, for you feel oh so terribly tired. Turn to 497. Despite everything that is besetting your weary mind, you are so drowsy you fall asleep quickly. As with the previous night, you dream you're in your bedroom in the asylum, which is filled with the same white mist as before. You feel the same vague terror that came to you before and the sensation that something else is there in the room with you, standing beside the bed as if he's just stepped out of the mist, or rather, as if the mist somehow become him, is a tall, thin man dressed all in black. You know him at once from your husband's description of him, and the waxen face, the high aquiline nose, and parted ruddy lips, with the sharp white teeth showing between, and the crimson eyes. Add 1 point to your terror score. Good Lord, I'm up to 10. And tick off the word sedative. Oh, have I ticked it off? No, I don't. If you have the code word sensitive ticked off, turn to 613. If not, 534. So we're going to 534. Oh, yeah, so sorry, it's this way. Oh, it's got a picture of a castle. Your heart seems to stand still. You try to scream, but you find yourself somehow paralyzed. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, turn to 554. But if you fail the test, turn to 613. So ESP is 2d6. Oh, that's a 6. I think I failed. And a 4. That's 10. I failed the test. So if you fail 613. You're unable to resist as the Count places his reeking mouth upon your throat, piercing the pulsing vein in your neck with his snake-like fangs, and starts to drink. You feel your strength ebbing from your body. There is now no doubt in your mind that this is not some hideous nightmare, much as you might wish it were, but the undead fiend is actually here in your bedchamber, gorging himself upon your very life's essence. When he finally takes his foul, sneering mouth away, it is gory with fresh blood. Your blood. Roll 1 die and add 1. Deduct this from your endurance points. Alternatively, pick a card and deduct its face value from your endurance point score. Unless it is 8 above or a picture card in which you can deduct 7 points from your endurance score. Roll 1 die and add 1. Okay, I don't have to worry about the cards. 2, add 3. So that's -3 off endurance. So that's 64. I had a lot of endurance points, so I'm very much still alive. Turn to 632. Oh, this is a long paragraph. Then he speaks to you mockingly. And so you, like the others, would play your brains against mine. You would help these men to hunt me and frustrate me in my designs. You know now, and they will know before long, what is to cross my path. They should have kept their energies for use closer to home, whilst they played wits against me, who commanded nations and fought for them hundreds of years before they were even born. I was undermining their efforts. And you, their best beloved one, and now to me flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, kin of my kin, and shall be my companion and my helper. You are to be punished for what you have done in aiding those who would fought me. And now you shall come to my call. When I command it, you shall cross land or sea to do my bidding. With that, he pulls open his shirt and with his long, sharp nails opens the skin of his chest. As vicious black blood begins to ooze forth, he takes both your hands and one of his holding them tight, and with the other forces your mouth to the wounds that you must either suffocate or swallow some of the foul dead fluid. Oh, what have you done to deserve such fate? May God take pity on you, a wretched soul in worse than mortal peril. The door suddenly bursts open, and the brave vampire hunters rush into the room. The scene that greets them would appall the priest. You are highlighted by the moonlight streaming in through the window, and they cannot help but see your face and the front of your nightdress are filthy with blood. And then they lay eyes on the Count. As your attacker throws you onto the bed, the brave professor leaps forward, a sacred wafer in his hand held out towards the monster. The Count stops abruptly and cowers back as the rest of the menfolk raise their silver crucifixes. Dracula cowers further back still. The moonlight suddenly fails as a great black cloud sails across the sky. When the gaslight springs up under Quincy's match a moment later, you see nothing but a faint vapour that trails out through the window and then is gone. Your husband rushes forward and gathers you up in his arms, his face ghastly white. Are we too late? The professor cries, moving towards you, sacred wafer still tight in his hand. I have to know. With that, he presses it against your forehead. You give a voice to a fearful scream and recoil in pain. Lose 3 points. Okay, we're turning, I think. The others stare at you in horror, for where the wafer touched your skin, it has burned your flesh as surely as if it had been a piece of hot white metal. You sink to your knees sobbing and pulling your hair over your face, wailing, Unclean, I am unclean. Even the Almighty shuns my polluted flesh. I must bear this mark of shame upon my forehead until the judgment day. Jonathan falls to the floor beside you, consumed with impotent grief, and for a few minutes your sorrowful hearts beat together, whilst your friends turn away, their eyes running with silent tears. Gain 6 blood points. Oh, he's getting powerful again. He's up to 7. That's like the highest he's ever been. And turn to page 693. Is it the end? Is it the end? Okay, 693. It may be that you may have to bear the mark till God himself seems fit to redress all the wrongs of the earth and his children, Van Helsing says gravely. And, oh, Madam Mina, my dear, may we love you be there when that red scar passes away and leaves your forehead as pure as the heart we know. Till then we must bear our cross as his son did in obedience to his will. It may be that we are chosen instruments of his good pleasure and that we ascend to his bidding through tears and blood, though doubts and fears, and all that makes the difference between God and man. If you wish to continue the story as Jonathan Harker, turn to 24. If you wish to continue as Mina Harker, turn to 490. We'll definitely stay as Mina Harker. And if you want to continue the adventure as Dr. John Stewart, turn to 54. So we're doing Mina Harker, so that's 490. There is no time to lose, and there is nothing less at risk now than your own immortal soul. For if the menfolk you are brave would be saviours do not find the remaining boxes of earth and finish off the vampire quickly, you will end up like poor dear Lucy. Fortunately, however, your dear husband Jonathan helped Count Dracula acquire not just Carfax House, but 3 other properties all located in London, one in Piccadilly, one in Walworth, and one in Mile End. I think the house in Piccadilly is key, Professor Van Helsing says. When the 6 of you meet again later that morning, Dr. Stewart's study, which has become the Vampire Hunters Committee Room. He must have many belongings hidden somewhere, but why not somewhere so central, so quiet, from where he can come and go by the front or the back at all hours? I think we should search there. But what of the properties in Walworth and Mile End? Asked Arthur. We cannot risk leaving any earth for that old fox to run to. And so it is agreed, Arthur Holmwood and Quincy Morris will visit the properties in Walworth and Mile End, while Jonathan and Dr. Stewart will go with the Professor to the large townhouse in Piccadilly. There is nothing for you to do but await them all to return safely, you hope, later this evening. After the men have gone, you retire to a room where you write up recent events in your journal. You're feeling very tired after the goings on the previous night and soon fall asleep where you are sitting, in a chair by the window, the morning sunlight warming your skin. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, turn to 511. If you fail, turn to 543. So my ESP, I think, has dropped considerably. Yeah, it's a 6, so that's a 5. I think I've failed. No, it's equal to... Oh, no, I have, so it's a 7. I'm over. So I failed 543. Is Dracula going to pay me another visit? Potentially. As you sleep, you dream. You find yourself back in Whitby and the night has fallen. You are walking the silent streets of the sleeping fishing port, wearing nothing but your nightdress. You climb the 199 steps of St Mary's Church, and there, at the top of the East Cliff, sit down on your favourite seat to rest. But as you sit there, gazing at the schooner racked by the storm-tossed waves, the moon-cast shadows seem to coalesce around you, and you see 2 glowing coals set amidst the blackness, while moonlight shines from the tips of 2 elongated fangs. You suddenly start awake, your heart pounding, and that wafer burning your forehead throbbing, and in that moment you fear you will never be free of the curse of the vampire. Add 1 point to your terror score, 11. Add 3 blood points. He's getting really powerful now. 10. And then turn to 563. 5. 563. You are greatly relieved when your husband and the other vampire hunters return to Purfleet that evening, and you greet them at the door, daring to hope that they might bring with them good news. But when you see their faces and how your own dear Jonathan appears to have transformed from a vigorous young man in his prime to a haggard old soul in the space of one day, his white hair matching well with the hollow burning eyes and grief-written lines etched in his face, you feel the colour drain from your own cheeks, and you can scarce hold back the tears. I can never thank you all enough, you tell the vampire hunters, and taking Jonathan's grey head in your hands, you kiss it, saying, "Oh, my poor darling." It's another terror point, and that is 12. And turn to 583. Oh no, what's going to happen? The night Quincy Morris keeps watch outside your room should the vampire seek to attack you again. As a result, you sleep well, better than you have for many a night. But as the grey of the coming dawn is making the windows into sharp oblongs, and the gas flame is like a speck rather than a disc of light, you find yourself fully awake, an idea having formed in your mind that you cannot shake. Waking your husband, you tell him to call the professor, for you want to see him at once. When he asks why, you say, I have an idea, and I suppose it must have come in at night and matured of my knowing it. Go quick, dearest, the time is getting close. 2 or 3 minutes later, Professor Van Helsing is in the room in his dressing gown, while Arthur and Quincy are standing with Dr. Seward at the door asking questions. Oh, my dear Madam Mina, says the professor, rubbing his hands together in glee. This is indeed a change. We have got our old Madam Mina back, and what can I do for you? I want you to hypnotise me, you tell him. Do it before dawn, for I feel then I can speak and speak freely. Be quick, for the time is short. Without a word, he motions for you to sit up in bed. Looking fixedly at you, he starts to make passes in front of your face. From over the top of your head downward, with each hand in turn, you gaze at him fixedly for a few minutes, but gradually your eyelids grow heavy, and you close your eyes. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, turn to 634. If you fail, turn to 612. 6. I'm going to fail because I'm going to get more than 1. It's going to be higher. It has to be less than to pass. 3. That's a 9. We fail. 612. 612. You hear Van Helsing's voice coming to you as if from far away. Where are you? You open your eyes, but all is darkness. I do not know, you reply, but you feel a gentle rock in motion. It is all strange to me. What do you see? Comes Van Helsing's voice again. I can see nothing. It's all dark. What do you hear? You focus on the sounds coming to you from beyond the darkness. The lapping of water is gurgling by, and the little waves leap. I can hear them on the outside. You're on a ship. Yes, you can hear men stamping overhead as they run about, and the creaking of the chain. There's something else, a low bestial growling. Your host has sensed your presence just as you're aware of where your enemy is hiding. So he knows that you're spying on him. He knows I'm here, you cry, as you feel something like gore-soiled claws sinking into the very being of your immortal soul. Come away, you hear Van Helsing calling you. Return to us, Madam Mina, awake. Gain 2 blood points. Oh, I feel as though we're going to have a very big showdown at some point. So I've got 12 blood points and add 2 to your terror score. So I'm now at 14. How many blood points does Dracula need? Okay, it's Lord Impaler now, by the looks of it. Okay, it goes up to 70, that's fine. Turn to 663. So we're at 14. So 663. Blinking yourself awake, you find yourself back in your room at the asylum. The first thing you see is the expression of intense concentration on the professor's face and the beads of sweat covering his forehead. It is growing lighter, and as Jonathan pulls up the blind, a rosy light diffuses the room. Have I been talking in my sleep, you ask, in a dreamy manner, stifling a yawn? Turn to 718. There is not a moment to lose, says the professor urgently, for it may not yet be too late to thwart the enemy's plans. That ship, wherever it was weighing anchor whilst Madam Mina spoke. There are many ships weighing anchor at the moment in your great port of London. Which of them is that we seek? We can now know that what was in the Count's mind when he fled the house in Piccadilly. He meant to escape. He saw that with one earth box left and pack of men following like dogs after a fox, that London was no place for him, and so he has taken his last box of earth on board a ship. He thinks to escape, but we will follow him. The old fox is wily, but so too am I. But why do we need to seek him further, Arthur asks, when he has already gone away from us? At this, the professor looks gravely at Arthur. Because he can live for centuries, whereas Madam Mina is but a mortal woman. Time is now to be dreaded since we put that mark upon her throat. Now more than ever, we hunt him down, even if we have to follow him into the jaws of hell. If you wish to continue the story as Jonathan Harker, go to point 46. If you wish to continue as Mina Harker, 66. No question there. We're staying as Mina. So 66. Yeah. Our meeting for report. President Professor Van Helsing, Lord Godalming, Dr. Stewart, Mr. Quincy Morris, Jonathan Harker, and Miss Mina Harker. I think I get 3 endurance points back, so we're back up to 64. A meeting of the crew light is convened in Dr. Seward's private study, 3 nights after Count Dracula attacked you in your bedchamber, bestowing upon you the curse of the vampire. You are pleased to be busy again, as to you has fallen the task of taking the minutes of the meeting. Turn to 96. Professor Van Helsing begins by recounting what he discovered when he visited the port of London, that the Count is even now on the board of the Tsarina Catherine, sailing for the Black Sea in the Bulgarian port of Varna. And so, my dear Madam Mina, it is that we have to rest for a time, for our enemy is on the sea with the fog at his command. On his way to the mouth of the Danube, he explains. To sail a ship takes time, and when we set off we will travel by land, thereby making much quicker progress. Indeed, we shall reach his destination before him. That last box of earth we seek is to be landed in Varna and given to an agent, one Ristix, who will there present his credentials, and so our merchant friend will have done his part. I ask again, Professor, says Arthur, when Van Helsing is done speaking, the weariness etched on his face, is it really necessary we pursue the Count now that he's departed English shores? Yes, it is necessary, the Professor answers, with growing passion. For Madam Mina's sake and the sake of humanity. This monster has done much harm already. He has infected Madam Mina with his vampiric curse. And if he has done no more direct injury, having lived out her allotted lifespan, death, when it comes, will make her a vampire, just like poor Miss Lucy. We cannot allow this to come pass. Only Dracula's death will free Madam Mina from this fate and redeem her immortal soul. But will not the Count take his rebuff wisely, asked Quincey Morris. Since he has been driven from England, will he not avoid it as a tiger does the village from which he has been hunted? Your man-eater, as they call the tiger in India, once it has tasted human blood, it cares for no other prey. We hunt a man-eater too, and he is not one to retire and stay far off. In his living life, he travelled beyond the Turkish frontier and attacked his enemy on his ground. He was beaten back, but returned again and again and again. Look at his persistence, endurance. Who knows how long he conceived the idea of coming to London? But having set his mind to it, he deliberately set himself down to prepare for the task. He studied new tongues, taught himself modern social etiquette, along the politics, law, finance, the sciences, the habits and the customs of the new land, a new people who have come to be since his blood, still pumped hot and red in his veins. What he has seen here in England, he will have only whet his appetite and deepened his desire. He has achieved all that he's achieved to this point, from a ruined tomb in a forgotten land. Imagine what more he could do now. Now that he better understands what awaits him here. The heart of the British Empire, he that can smile at death, who can flourish in the midst of diseases that kill of whole peoples. We have pledged to set the world free. Our toil must be in silence and our efforts all in secret. For in this enlightened age, when men believe not even what they see, the doubting of wise men would be his greatest strength. It would be at once his sheath and his armour and his weapons to destroy us, his enemies who are willing to imperil even our own souls, for safety of one we love, for the good of mankind, for the honour and the glory of God. Turn to page 130. That was very wordy. I kind of drifted off a little bit there, but I get the impassioned speech. 130. After a general discussion, the 6 of you determined that your next course of action will not definitely be settled upon until you have all slept on the matter and spent some time considering the consequences of whatever actions may be taken. You agree to meet again tomorrow at breakfast, and after making your conclusions known to one another, only then shall you settle on the appropriate path. So this is fine for Mina. If I was someone else, I'd be adding 20 to the next score, but I'm just going to turn to 185. This is Mina's. She's a bat. Okay, so at 185, but if I remember correctly, Miss Mina, whenever we see a bat icon, we add 20 to the section number and read that one instead. So that would be 285. No, 205. Right. Oh, it's not actually that far ahead. 205. Oh, it's a long one. You excuse yourself from the next meeting, suspecting that the men will want to discuss the part you will have to play in all this, as well as their plan to catch up with the Count and put an end to him. While the meeting is taking place, you confine yourself to your rooms and your own thoughts on the matter. When Jonathan returns, the meeting concluded. You waste no time in sharing the conclusions you have come to and how the two of you should proceed. Jonathan, I want you to promise me something on your word of honour. Promise me that you will not tell me anything of the plans formed for the campaign against the Count, not by word or inference or implication, not at any time whilst this remains. You point to the scar on your forehead. I promise, he declares with a great solemnity. From that moment, it feels like a door has been shut between the two of you. You go on, there is a poison in my blood, in my soul, which may destroy me, There is a poison in my blood, in my soul, which may destroy me, which must destroy me unless some relief comes to us. My soul is at stake, and I shall tell you plainly what I want, my beloved husband. Should the time come, I want you to kill me. And what time is that? Jonathan asks, his voice low and strained. When you're convinced that I'm so changed that it is better that I die, and when I'm dead in the flesh, then you must drive a stake through my heart and cut off my head, or do whatever else may be necessary to grant me rest. Jonathan looks at you wild-eyed and a greenish pallor. Must I make such a promise, Mina? You must, my dearest, you insist. When the time comes, you must not shrink from the task. You are the nearest and dearest to me, and mean all the world to me. Our souls are knit into one, for all time. If it is best to be that I must meet death at any hand, let it be at the hand of him that loves me best. I swear to you by all that I hold sacred, my dear, he says. And there is a still in his voice now, that should the time come, I shall not flinch from that dread duty. Hearing your husband speak those words fills you with a sense of calm, and you know no matter what happens, he will do all to guard the fate of your immortal soul. Deduct 1 point from your terror score. Excellent. I think we're down to 13 now. And turn to page 227. "12th October, London. Your party of 6 vampire hunters leaves Charing Cross on the morning of the 12th October and arrives in Paris the same night. There you take place that you've been secured for you aboard the Orient Express. If the blood score is 8 or higher, turn to 306. If it is lower than 8, turn to 507. I think we've got a pretty high blood score. Yes, it's 12. So we are turning to 306. "2 days after leaving London, you are relaxed in your compartment, alone aboard the Orient Express. As a train passes through a snowstorm in the Austrian Tyrol, there comes a knock at the door. From the other side comes a muffled, 'Cabin service.' 'Cabin service? You didn't order any cabin service.' As you are rising to see who it is, the door is forced from the outside, and a young man bursts in. He's wearing an ill-fitting porter's uniform and wielding a large silver steak knife. 'Before you die, I want you to know who it is that kills you in the name of Lord Dracula,' he snarls. 'Who are you?' you gasp in bewilderment. 'I am Johnny Alucard,' he declares as he throws himself at you. If you want to use a pen, his mightier special ability, cross off one use and turn to 362. If not, turn to 332. Or do I run from this? I'm tempted to run, because if they're going to be facing off Dracula, I want it to be at like full health. So we have 2 pen is mightiers left. So 332. I think. No, 362. There is commotion in the gangway outside your cabin, and the shout of "Stop, villain!" Looking about him in agitation, Alucard suddenly breaks off from the battle and flees towards the rear of the train. A moment later, Arthur Holmwood and Quincy Morris appear at your door. "Are you all right?" Arthur asks. Before you can reply, there is a sudden squeal of metal on metal, as a train's wheels seize and the Orient Express comes to an abrupt stop, which sends the 3 of you tumbling to the floor. Someone, no doubt your would-be murderer, must have pulled the emergency brake. If you want to head after him, turn towards the rear of the train. Turn to 411. If not, turn to 383. I think we're just going to let him go. I just want this train to get to Bulgaria and face off with Dracula. So 383. Peering out of your compartment window, you see a figure running along the edge of the track, only to be enveloped by the swirling snowstorm. You don't see much point in following Alucard. You're 1,000 feet up in the Tyrrells after all. Where's he going to go? He'll freeze to death before he can reach the next station on foot. Arthur goes to speak to the guard, and the Orient Express is soon on its way again. Add 2 to the blood score and turn to page 257. All the blood score's increasing again. 14. 257. Oh, we're going back. Ooh. 257, 15th October, Varna. You travel night and day, arriving in Varna about 5 o'clock in the evening. Arthur goes to the consulate to see if any telegram has arrived for him, having arranged with Lloyd's to be sent a daily wire stating if the Tsarina Catherine has been reported, while the rest of you make your way to the Hotel Odysseus. In a drawer in the bedside table in your room, you find a well-fumbled English copy of the Holy Bible. If you want to take it, add a Holy Bible to your adventure sheet. I think we're definitely taking that. So we've got some holy water and now a Holy Bible. Arthur eventually returns with 4 telegrams, but Dracula's ship has not been reported to Lloyd's from anywhere. You are evidently in good time and will be ready and waiting for the Count when he arrives. Ooh, turn to 6:40. Okay, so we're at 6:40, so I need to add 20 onto this. That takes us up to 660. So that is... Oh no, I need to go further ahead. 660. 16th October, Varna. Despite the fact that you can feel yourself getting stronger by the day, the colour is returning to your cheeks, you also find yourself needing to sleep a great deal. Indeed, you slept for almost the whole journey to Varna aboard the Orient Express. Professor Van Helsing comes to you again that evening to hypnotise you, as he has continued to do at both dawn and dusk, every day since the time in Carfax Asylum. As soon as you are under, you find yourself in darkness once more and sense the lapping of waves and rushing water, and sails snapping in favourable winds. Gain 2 blood points and turn to 703. Okay, where's my blood points? So I think actually that was from another session, so that's now, I think I've got 16. 703. Over a week of waiting and still no tidings of the Tsarina Catherine. But she ought to be here by now. That she's still at sea is apparent, but where? The next day there is still no news, and Van Helsing makes it plain that he is anxious the Count is somehow escaping the trap you have laid for him. And then, on the 28th of October, news at last. Telegram Rufus Smith, London to Lord Godalming, care HBM Vice Consul, Varna. 28th October, Tsarina Catherine reported entering Galatz at 1 o'clock today. The revelation that Count Dracula has evaded you is a shock to everyone. Van Helsing raises his fist to the sky as if in remonstrance with the Almighty himself. Arthur grows very pale and Quincy Morris tightens his belt, which you know means to action. It must have been while Mrs. Harker was under hypnosis, the professor says at last. Just as our own dear Mina can move her mind to where he is, the Count must have sent his spirit to read her thoughts, and in doing so learned that we were already here, waiting for him. Now he is making every effort to escape us. Galatz is more than 200 miles away in Romania. The next train for Galatz leaves at 6:30 tomorrow morning, so your party spends the rest of the day preparing for the journey. Arthur arranges a train ticket, papers are obtained so you might board the Tsarina Catherine at Galatz, and Quincy Morris visits the Vice-Consul to ensure that all will run smoothly with his counterpart in Romania. And so, on the morning of the 29th of October, you board the train for Galatz. Turn to 725. Oh, I've got to add 20 onto this, so that is 745. At sunset, Professor Van Helsing comes to you, Berth, to hypnotise you again. Making yourself comfortable as best you can, you focus on the professor's voice and the languid movements of his hands. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, turn to 821. But if you fail the test, turn to 851. So ESP, I need 2d6 lower or equal to 7. So that's 2. And 5, 7. Okay, we pass. Finally. I think it's the first one I've passed in a long time. Okay, 821. Despite the calm and isolation of carriage and the lulling motion of the train rocking on its tracks, you do not yield to the professor's hypnotic influence as readily as before. But when you do, you find your senses are far from the train and describe to Van Helsing everything you feel. Something is going out. I can feel it past me like a cold wind. I can hear far-off confused sounds, as of men talking in strange tongues, fierce falling water and howling of wolves. You stop suddenly as a shudder runs through you, and as you wake from the trance, you feel cold and exhausted. But thanks to what you have told him, Van Helsing believes he has some idea of where the Count is now. Deduct 1 blood point. I think might be at 13. I can't read my handwriting anymore, but we're in the low teens. And turn to 881. Oh, that's a long prompt. Okay, 881. 30th October, Galatz. You arrive at Galatz as the sun is rising in the morning of the 30th October on fire of anxiety and eagerness. By 9 o'clock, your party is boarding with the Tsarina Catherine, which lies at anchor in the river harbour, in order to interview its captain, a Scotsman named Donaldson. Captain Donaldson willingly shares the details of his voyage. I never had so favourable run in my life, he begins. Man, but it made us afeard, for we thought we should have to pay for it with some rare piece of ill luck. It's no right to run from London to the Black Sea with a wind behind ye, as though the devil himself were blowing on your sail. And all the time we could no see a thing, a fog fell on us and travelled with us till we came to the Dardanelles. When we got past the Bosphorus, the men began to grumble. Some of them Romanians come and asked me to heave overboard a big old box that had been on board by a queer-looking old man just before we left London. I seen them looking at the fellow and put out 2 of their fingers when they saw him to guard against the evil eye. Man, but the superstitions of foreigners are perfectly ridiculous. I sent them about their business pretty quick. We had a fair way and deep water all the time, that even though the unnatural fog descended again the 2 days ago, when the morning came through the midst, we found ourselves just in the river opposite the Galatz. An hour before sunup, a man came aboard with an order written to him from England to receive a box marked for one Count Dracula. He had his papers, and I was glad to be rid of the damn thing, for I was beginning to feel uneasy about it myself. What was the name of the man who took it? Asked Van Helsing. At that, Captain Donaldson steps down to his cabin and produces a receipt signed Emmanuel Hildesheim and bearing the address Bergenstrasse 16. You find Hildesheim in his office at number 16 Bergenstrasse. He's reluctant to share any information with you to begin with, but as soon as Arthur opens his wallet and after a little bargaining, he finally tells you what he knows. He had received a letter from Mr. Deville of London, telling him to receive, if possible, before sunrise, as to avoid customs, a box which would arrive at the Galatz on board the Tsarina Catherine. This he was to pass into the hands of one Petrov Skinsky, an individual who dealt with the Slovaks who traded down the river to the port. He was paid for his work by an English banknote, which had been duly cashed for gold at the Danube International Bank. When Skinsky had come to him, he took him to the ship and passed the box into the charge of another man. You have no choice other than to set about searching for this Skinsky, but it's dusk before you find yourselves at the door to his lodgings. One of his neighbours reveals that he left 2 days ago, but no one knows again where he's travelling to. It seems you're at a standstill again. But whilst you're discussing what you should do next, a boy comes running and gasping for breath, telling you that Skinsky has been found inside the graveyard of St. Peter's Church. And so it is dusk falls and moon rises, providing you with enough light to see your party enters the churchyard in search of answers. There, shouts Arthur, pointing to a nearby tomb. You can see the amorphous black shadow of something lying atop a cold stone. Just as you make a move towards the tomb and examine it further, a mournful howl cuts through the deepening darkness and makes everyone start. Sounds like a wolf, Quincy says, his hand automatically going to the pistol holstered at his waist. They must be quick about our business and tarry no longer than is necessary, says Van Helsing. I don't like the idea of being caught unawares by a wolf, drawls a Texan. I'd rather be the hunter, not the hunted. Anyone else want to come with me? As your party begins to split into 2 distinct groups, who do you want to follow further to examine the graveyard? Will you go Van Helsing to examine the body at the tomb, or join Quincy Morris in hunting for wolves? I'm going with Van Helsing to examine the body at the tomb, so 912. As you approach the tomb, it quickly becomes apparent that is the corpse of a man you've been searching for, but what can have happened to him? The professor examines the body as best he can by the light of the moon. His throat has been torn out, he says gravely. It looks like the work of some wild beast. At that moment, the howling starts up again, only this time it sounds like a whole pack of wolves. There is nothing more we can learn from Herr Skinsky, Van Helsing says, his eyes searching for the encroaching gloom of Quincy Morris. If you would want to go looking for Quincy yourself, turn to 982. If you prefer to champion the idea of leaving the graveyard as quickly as possible, turn to 942. Definitely 942. 942. We should be away from this place, you say. This is not England, and who knows what horrors might await the unwary in a Romanian graveyard at night. Everyone else reluctantly agrees, and so your party hastily makes its way, Quincy and the professor included, back through the town to the hotel where you're to spend the night. Turn to 678. 6, 7. Ooh, if you want to continue the stories, Mina Harker, turn to 45. If not, turn to 25. Yes, we're continuing. 45. Here we go. Oh, this is a long one. When you are safely ensconced inside your hotel, you go back over the notes you have taken. With the aid of the map of the region, you try to work out where the vial count could be. And slowly you come to what seems like the only possible conclusion. Sending your husband to reconvene with the vampire hunters after supper in a private dining room at the hotel, you join the meeting armed to your notes as well as a map. Restore 4 endurance points. Ooh, I think 68. I have been carrying my own investigation into the matter of how the Count intends to return to Castle Dracula, you explain, and I believe I've made a discovery. My surmise is this, that in London the Count decided to get back into his castle by water as the most safe and secret way. He was brought from the castle by the Zagani gypsies, and they probably delivered their cargo to the Slovaks, who took the box of earth to Varna to be shipped to London. Thus the Count knew who could arrange this service again for the journey. When the box was on land before sunrise or sunset, the vampire came out from his makeshift coffin and met with Skinsky, instructing him to arrange the carriage for the box upriver. When this was done, he covered his tracks. You pause to spread the map on the table so everyone can see it clearly. I've examined this chart and find the river most suitable for the Slovaks to have ascended either from the Proof or the Serif. Of these two, the Proof is more easily navigated, but the Serif is at the Fundu, joined by the Bistrica, which runs up the Borgo Pass. It makes a loop around Castle Dracula and so is the closest that it can be to get to his home by water. Professor Van Helsing clasped your hands in his saying, "Oh dear, Madam Mina, is once more our teacher. Her eyes have seen what the rest of us were blind to, but now we're on his trail once again. We may yet succeed in our mission. Our enemy has a start on us tonight. So here and now we must plan what we are going to do tonight. I shall book passage on a boat travelling upstream and follow him, says Arthur. I shall hire horses to follow on the bank in case he puts ashore, says Quincy. Good, says the professor, but neither of you must go alone. There must be a force to overwhelm force if needs be, for there may be Count's allies to overcome. Disgani is strong and rough, and he carries rude arms. I think I had better go with Quincy, says Dr. Seward. We have been accustomed to hunt together, and we two, well armed, will be a match for whatever may come along. The professor addresses your husband then. Friend Jonathan, you should go with Lord Godalming up the river, and whilst John and Quincy guard the bank, where perchance our enemy might be landed, I will take Madam Mina right to the heart of the enemy's country. But hearing this, your dear husband breaks his silence and cries out in distress. Do you mean to say, Professor Helsing, that you would bring Mina, tainted as she is, that devil's illness, right to the jaws of his death trap? Not for the world, not for heaven or hell. He becomes almost speechless for a minute before finding the wherewithal to continue. Do you know what place this is? Have you seen that awful den of hellish infamy, with the moonlight alive with grisly shapes, and every speck of dust that whirls in the wind of a devouring monster in embryo? Have you felt the vampire's lips upon your throat? Here he turns to you, and his eyes are light on your forehead, and he throws up his arms with a cry of, "Oh my God, what have we done to have this terror upon us?" "Oh, my friend, it is because I would save Madam Mina from that awful place that I would go," explains the professor, the tone of his voice calming you all. "God forbid I should take her into that place, but there is much to be done, and many places to be sanctified, so his nest of vipers be obliterated. I will take Madam Mina by the carriage from the route you yourself took, Jonathan, when you travelled from the Bistrica over the Borgo Pass, and that we will find our way to Castle Dracula. There Madam Mina's hypnotic power will surely help, for we will find our way all dark and unknown, otherwise after the first sunrise when we are near that fateful place." Less than 2 hours after your macabre visit to the graveyard of St. Peter's, you and Professor Van Helsing board the last train to Veresti, where you will require a carriage to drive to the Borgo Pass. It takes all your courage to say goodbye to your darling husband, and there is one real possibility you will never meet again. Ooh, terror score. I think that's 14 again. You have plenty of money with you as you intend to buy a carriage and horses and drive yourselves. The professor knows a smattering of words in a great many languages, so you should get on all right. And you are armed. Quincy Morris has furnished you with a large bore revolver. Put that in. Revolver and sabre. You do not delay in settling into your compartment in the last carriage on the train, hoping to get at least some rest before arriving in Veresti, while the professor goes to the lounge car to enjoy a drink and smoke before retiring. However, you've not been travelling for even an hour when you hear a cry and come with a start fearing the worst. Do you leave your compartment to investigate, or do you think it would be wiser to remain where you are? Let's go to 67. I think it's wiser to remain where we are. We're on an important mission. We need to complete it. 67. In only a matter of moments, Van Helsing appears at your compartment. He looks relieved to see you are unharmed. Madam Mina, did you hear that cry? He asks. You confirm that you did, and in return he tells you there has been a death. I'm going to investigate this, he says. You believe it to be the work of Count Dracula, you ask, your heart pounding within your chest. I do not know, but I intend to find out. You are confused. Surely if the vampire was on board the train, you would have sensed its presence. So strong is the connection between you. If you want to go to the professor to find out more, turn to 704. If you would rather persuade him not to get involved, turn to 87. I think I'll persuade him not to get involved because I think this could be one of his minions and I'd rather keep Van Helsing alive. So let's turn to 87. You explain your reason for not believing the Count to be involved, finishing with our own urgent mission. We cannot let anything distract us from that, lest it lead to failure. My dear Madam Mina, he says, clasping your hands in his. Once more you teach me that caution is more prudent than curiosity in this instance. We will spend the rest of the journey in our own company and do not interfere in matters of others are more than capable of dealing with. We should arrive in Veresti in only a matter of hours. Now let's try and get some rest. Turn to 107. Mina Harker's journal. Oh, that's 4 points of endurance, and that's 72 now. Arrived at Veresti at noon, the professor tells me that this morning at dawn he could hardly hypnotise me at all, and that all I could say was dark and quiet. Later that afternoon you prepare for the off, Professor Van Helsing having sequestered a carriage and horses. Your guardian has also purchased meat and drink for the journey ahead, as well as fur coats and wraps, and all sorts of warm things. You still have something more than 17 miles before you. The country is lovely and most interesting. If only you were visiting under different conditions. How delightful it would be to see it all, with wild snow flurries come and go, as if forecasting worse weather to come. You travel westwards, the country growing even wilder as you climb higher and higher towards the ragged, broken tooth peaks of the Carpathian Mountains. It is cold now, so cold that the heavy sky is full of snow, which when it falls will settle for all winter as the ground is hardening to receive it, and you sleep for much of the time. You reach the Borgo Pass just after sunrise on the third day since leaving Veresti. Stirring, you point to a particular road. This is the way. How do you know it? The professor challenges you. Of course I know it, the answer. Did not my husband travel the same road and write of it in his record of his time at this terrible country? The by-road is very different from the coach road from Bukovinia to Bistritz, which is wide and firm underfoot, and is clearly little used. Taking this route, you travel for many more hours, moving into more and more wild and desert land, a place of great frowning precipice and tumbling waterfalls, until finally a twilight is settling over the mountain peaks as you are climbing. A steeply rising hill. As you are climbing a steeply rising hill, you catch sight of the summit upon which stands the forbidding ramparts of an ancient castle. The place appears deserted, as quiet as a grave. You have clearly beaten everyone else here, including the Count. Ooh, deduct 1 blood point. Is that 13? Yes, it's 13. Before night falls, the professor feeds the horses while you make a fire. 100 yards from the great gates of the castle, he then proceeds to have something to eat as well. But you have no appetite for food. Van Helsing draws a circle around you and the fire in a settling zone. Taking a holy water, he crumbles it up into a fine powder and sprinkles it over the ring he has just made. Then there is nothing for the two of you to do but wait. Darkness descends, the heavy snow clouds blotting out the light of the moon. Hours pass during which horses become unsettled and tear at their tethers, and the fire begins to die. Peering out into the night, it seems that the snow flurries and wreaths of mist take on the shape of 3 women clad in trailing grave garments. Oh no. The horses whining and cower in terror as Van Helsing takes up a burning brand from the fire, coaxing it into life as he intends to defend himself with it. And now the women before you have solid flesh, and you know then that they are the same 3 women that sought to lay their lips upon Jonathan's throat. Oh. You feel as if you recognise their swaying forms yourself, their bright eyes, pronounced white teeth, and their ruddy vulture's lips. All 3 of them are smiling at you. The musical laughter of their voice comes to you through the snow-muffled silence of the night. They point at you and say in their sweet tinkling tones that possess the intolerable sweetness of water glasses, "Come, sister, come to us, come. Take an ESP test." Oh. If you fail, turn to 88. If you pass, turn to 58. So that's 2. And 2, 4, I pass. So we turn to 58. Come to us, sister, come, the weird women call again, but you resist their siren lure. God be thanked you're not like them, not yet. Van Helsing advances towards them, and the piece of burning firewood held out before him in one hand, and another piece of holy wafer in the other. They draw back into the darkness and laugh in their low, horrid laugh. You busy yourself feeding the fire, knowing that you are safe as long as you remain inside the circle. Presently the horses begin to scream as their unnatural women indulge their savage passions. Oh, by killing the animals. Their whining moans cease at last, and you know the poor beast will never feel terror again, but you do. Oh, at one point your terror score is at 14, I think so. You remain beside the fire until the red glow of the dawn begins to permeate the snowy gloom. Van Helsing leaves the circle to check on the horses, but when he returns, not many minutes later, he merely tells you what you already know. The horses are dead, all of them slaughtered by these monsters. His bushy eyebrows beetle in rage with frustration, and anger clouds his expression. I will make my way to the castle while the sun is up and put an end to them where they lie, he says. Madam Mina, wait here until I return, and whatever you do, do not step outside the circle. Do you want to do as the professor says, turn to 28, or you insist you go with him into the castle? Dracula in search of the weird sisters. I'm going to stay where I am and see what happens. 28. Oh, I take a terror test. Interesting. Having sat up all night as the sun rises above the snow-clad trees, a great weariness overcomes you, and you lie down beside the embers of the fire, wrapped up in your thick fur coat, and soon you fall asleep. You open your eyes into total darkness. Professor, you call, Professor Van Helsing, but there's no one to reply. Getting up from your place by the fire, you cross the holy circle without suffering much ill effects, and set off towards the castle in search of your missing guardian. You glide over the snow, leaving no trace upon the white blanket covering the ground. Ahead of you stands the castle, black and forbidding, but an open archway beckons to you. As you draw closer, faces coalesce from the shadows, white as bone, their eyes sunken, mouths open, so they look like skulls. Come to us, sister, the vampire women whisper. Come to us, join us and be at one with us. And then the sisters' skull-like faces are all you could see as they swell to fill your vision, elongating and distorting long snake-like fangs, pushing through bleeding gums, and you feel that they will swallow you whole. Take a terror test. My first terror test. 4d6, equal to or greater than to pass. Oh, wow, I've got quite a high terror score, so let's see. So 3. Oh, it's not looking good. I'm not going to pass this. 6, 9, and my terror score is like, I think, 14, 13. Okay, so I fail the test, turn to 6. Oh, what's going to happen? 6. Join us, sister, join us, the siren shriek. Become his bride. And the sisters' faces melt and merge into one, and you are staring into the hideous, wise, and bat-like visage of the bloodthirsty count. 3 blood points. Okay, we're getting very powerful now. I think he's at... I can't remember. He might be at 19 now. Let's just say that was 16. Join us, sister, join us, the siren shriek, become his bride. And the sisters' faces melt and merge into one, and you're staring into the hideous, wise, and bat-like visage of the bloodthirsty count. A dreadful, high-pitched screaming tears the night apart, but several long moments pass before you realise that it is you who is doing the screaming. Turn to 900. It's getting good. Oh, I've been past this page a few times. I'm always curious to see what it says. You wake with a start, panting for breath, and your heart pounding, your horrible nightmare shaking you to the very core of your being. Add 1 to your terror score. Well, what am I at now? 15, let's say. There is no sign of Professor, and the holy circle remains unbroken. Dusk is laying its mantle over the mountains, and so you put more wood on the fire, rousing it back into life. As your eyes are searching the gathering gloom again for your guardian, you suddenly catch sight of him, approaching from the direction of the castle. From his gait, he appears almost overcome with exhaustion and is carrying something. As he draws closer, you see he's holding the severed heads of the 3 vampire women by a long tress of their hair, and in the other hand he holds a knife that carried out their bloody deed. It is done, he says, throwing his grim trophies onto the fire. Hardly had my knife severed the head of each before the whole body crumbled to dust. Seeing the vampire hunter standing there, so noble, so proud, afraid to do naught in protection of your immortal soul, you feel his stirring within your breast, and you're filled with the wanton desire to plant kisses upon his face and neck. Come to me, Professor, you say in a lascivious tone. Let me wrap you with my arms and comfort you. Madam Mina, he gasps, as if seeing you for the first time. What has come over you? Come to me, you say again, your outstretched arms reaching for him to enfold within your embrace. Lie here with me, be as one with me. Ooh. No, Madam Mina, I shall not, he roused. You do not know what you're saying. You do not want this. Oh, but I do, you reply, licking your lips with the tip of your tongue, and giving a cry of pain and delight as he catches on the sharpened points. As it catches on the sharpened points, your elongated canines. I want you, Professor Van Helsing. Oh, poor Van Helsing. You'll not take no for an answer, and as you advance upon the old man, he tightens his grip on his bloody knife, ready to defend himself. Do you want to call upon the pen is mightier special ability, cross off one use, 10 to 964, if not 10 to 918. My last one, I'm going to avoid combat, 918. Oh no, 964. 964. I don't want to take on Van Helsing. Quick as a flash, Van Helsing strikes you over the head and grabs you with his free hand, squeezing the pressure points in your neck, and you lose consciousness immediately. You come to again with not many minutes later, find the professor rubbing your face with coleslaw. Thankfully, the lascivious madness that has possessed you has passed, and you feel yourself once more. You apologise profusely to Professor for what you have subjected him to, but he dismisses it out of hand, such as his kind-hearted Dutchman's generosity of spirit. Deduct 1 point for your ESP score and turn to 194. I'm down to 5 for ESP. That's not good for tests. Turn to 194. It is late in the afternoon when you sense that others are drawing near the castle, although whether it is your husband or that monster the Count that you sense you do not know. You and the Professor set off towards the east, intended to intercept the Count before he can reach his decaying stronghold. You do not travel fast, for the way takes you steeply downhill. It is hard going, trudging through the snow, and having gone about what you judged to be a mile, you sit down to rest on a large rock. Looking back, you see the clear outline of Dracula's castle, cut in the sky in all its grandeur, perched on 1,000 feet up between the summit, the sheer precipice with seemingly a great gap between it and the adjacent mountains. There is something wild and uncanny about the place. Far off you hear the distant howling of wolves. Even though the sound is muffled by the deadening snowfall, it still unnerves you deeply. Professor Van Helsing is busy searching for a strategic point where you'd be less exposed in case the wolves track you through the snow. You continue to watch the road, which you can just trace through the drifting snow, until the Professor gives a whistle. Getting up again, you join him at what appears to be a natural hollow in the rock, with an entrance like a doorway between two boulders. See, he says, taking you by the hand and drawing you inside. Here we can wait out the cold and the wind. If the wolves do come, we can meet them one by one. Taking his field glasses from their case and the shelter of the rocks, he begins to search the horizon. If the blood score is 12 points or higher, 10 to 158. Let's have a look. It definitely is. I think it's like 19 now. Yeah. If the blood score is lower than 12, 10 to 253, so it's 158. 158. Look, Madam Mina, look, the Professor calls. We have company. Springing to your feet, you join him at the entrance to the cleft. He hands you field glasses and points out to the snow. It's falling more heavily now and swirling about fiercely, for high wind is beginning to blow. However, there are times when there are pauses between the flurries, and during one of these lulls, you see dark shapes padding through the snow towards you. There are 2 of them, and they draw closer. They start to growl with sinister intent. How do you want to deal with the wolves? Will you arm yourself and prepare to fight? Use a pen is mightier than a special ability. I can't do that anymore. Try to impose your will upon the wolves. Ooh, let's do that. 1, 2, 3. Meeting the blazing gaze of the larger of the 2 wolves approaching the cleft, you will it to turn around and leave this place. Oh, man. Take an ESP test. If you pass the test, turn to 93. If you fail, turn to 70. I think I'm going to fail this, but it's worth a try. It's dropped to 5. 2. Not bad. If we roll low again. 6. No. 8. So fail the test, turn to 73. Snarling, the wolves attack, while the Professor battles one of the beasts, you take on the other. In this battle, you have initiative, wolf combat 6, endurance 6. If you kill the wolf, turn to 53. So let's have a look at my combat sheet that I printed out. So, hand-to-hand combat. You're repeatedly called upon to offend yourself against all manner of horrors in Dracula Curse the Vampire. Sometimes you may even choose to attack these monsters yourself. After all, as they say, the best form of defense is attack. When this happens, start by filling your opponent's combat and endurance scores in the first available encounter box. I've got some of these somewhere. Yes, I do have them. Okay, so... start by filling out your opponent's combat endurance scores in the first available encounter box. Cool. So, combat is 6 for the wolf. And endurance is 6. So just say wolf. Okay. Let's put this away for now. Whenever you engage in combat, you'll be told in a text whether you have initiative. In other words, who has advantage and gets to attack first. Okay, cool. So that's me. So roll 2 dice. The resulting is your combat rating. So that's 2 and 5. So that's 7. So my combat rating. So roll 2 dice and add to your combat score. So it's 7 plus 7. So that's combat rating 14. Roll 2 dice and add your opponent's combat score. This is their combat rating. Okay. So, oh God, 6 and 3. So that's 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. So the wolf has 15. Each combat round, add 1 temporary bonus point to the combat rating of whichever the combatants has the initiative for that round. Okay, so actually I have 15 because of bonus, because I go first. If your combat rating is higher than your opponent's, you have wounded your enemy. Deduct 2 points from your opponent's endurance score and move to step 7. Ah, okay. If your opponent's combat rating is higher than if your combat rating deduct 2 points, it's the same. Roll 2 die. If the number is odd, your opponent deflect each other's attacks. If your combat rating and your opponent's combat rating are the same, roll 1 die. If the number rolled is odd, you and your opponent deflect each other's attacks. Go to step 10. If the number is even, go to step 9. Okay, well, I think they're even for now, so I'm going to have to roll a dice because I've got the bonus point for going first. So that's a 3, so it's odd. So we deflect. We go to step 10. Step 10. If you won the combat round, you have the initiative in the next combat round. If your opponent won the combat round, they will have initiative. If neither of you won, neither of you will gain the initiative bonus next combat round. Go back to step 1 and work through the sequence again. Okay, so roll 2 dice. I'm just saying I'm going first. 1, 4, so that's 5. And do I add that onto my... Okay, so I rolled 5 and her combat rating is 7. So 5 add 7 is 12. And the wolf would be 6. And 4, he's 10. And their combat rating... so the wolf wins. Combat rating is 6, that's 16. So I'm going to knock... So I'm down to... I should really keep better notes. This 70 endurance. I'm going to write this in the notebook now. This is getting a bit messy. So I have 70 endurance points. And my combat rating, so the wolf has a combat of 6. Combat, and I have 7. So that's wolf. This is me. So I've lost 2, so I'm down to 70 at the minute. So let's just say I'm 70. I think I'm going to beat this wolf, if I'm being honest, because it only has 6. So yeah. So I think I'll just keep rolling 2d6s. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to bother adding temporary bonus points. Well, if the wolf goes first, it has a temporary. Oh, I don't know. So that's a 1. And that's a 3. That's a 4. So 4 add 6. That's combat rating of 10 for the wolf. And for me, I've got a 6 and a 3. So that's 9. 9 plus 7 is 16. So I win that round and the wolf loses 2. I might be fudging this a bit, but yeah. I kind of just want to get back to the story. So then I'm next, I won. So let's just say I have a temporary. So my 7 becomes an 8. So it's a 2 and a 3. So that's 5. Add to my combat round. 5 plus 7. That's a 12. And the wolf is 1 and 5, 6. 6 add 6 is 12. Yeah, I think that one again. So I knock off 2. And let's have another go. I should really take notes because I think I just made up what I got then. So I've got 5 and a 4, so that's 10. So 10 plus 7 equals 17. And the wolf is 3 and 6. That's 6 plus 9 equals 15. So I win again. The wolf is dead. I may have done that completely wrong, but I just went by my own rules there. So yeah, I beat the wolf. Also, like, the wolf only had 6 and I had 70 odd say health points. So that would have had to go on for a very long time for me to lose. So yes, if you kill the wolf, 10 to 53. I imagine maybe if I started off, if I got to that prompt sooner in the book, I think obviously there'd have been a higher chance of it being able to kill me. So 53. Oh, it's not far back from where I am at all. No, we're not at the end. Oh my God, I thought it was at the end. 53. Look, Madam Mina, look, the professor shouts. From your vantage point, is it possible to see a great distance and far off beyond the white waste of snow? You can see the river line like a black ribbon in kinks and curls as it winds its way through the mountains. However, straight up in front of you and not too far off, you can make out a group of mounted men hurrying along through the snowstorm. In their midst is a cart, a long later wagon that sweeps up from side to side as it races along the rough road towards the castle. From men's clothes, you can tell they are gypsies. No doubt the Zagani Jonathan encountered during his first visit to Transylvania. On the cart is a great square chest, and your heart leaps when you set eyes upon it, for you feel the end is near. They are coming quickly, says the professor, watching the progress of the wagon, his attendants like you. They are flogging the horses and galloping as hard as they can. Beyond the swirling wall of snow, you make out the sinister, shadowy presence of the Count's decaying stronghold, silhouetted against the red orb of the sun. They are racing for sunset. We may be too late, he says, hollowly. Hearing a sudden cry, you catch sight 2 of the horsemen following hard on the gypsies' heels, coming from the south. It's Quincy Morris and Dr. Stewart, and then from the north you see 2 more riders galloping at breakneck speed along the pass. And you know at once that it is your beloved Jonathan and the noble Arthur. They are all converging, Professor shouts out in glee, reloading his rifle, while you make sure you have your revolver to hand. But it's not only the fearless vampire killers who are converging on the spot before Castle Dracula, but you can see here and there dots moving singly in 2s and 3s and larger numbers as the wolves gather for the kill. As the wind comes in fierce spurts, furiously driving the snow before it and sweeping round in circling eddies, you can clearly distinguish the individuals of each party now. The pursued, the pursuers, the former redoubling their efforts as the sun drops lower and lower over the mountain tops. Closer and closer they come, and all at once 2 voices call out, "Halt!" One is Jonathan's, raised in passion, the other is Mr. Morris's resolute tone of quiet command. The gypsies rein in their horses. In that instant, Arthur and Jonathan draw alongside their wagon on one side, as Dr. Stewart and Quincy join it on the other. The leader of the gypsies waves them back and in a fierce voice commands the Zagani to keep going, but the 4 men raise their guns and order them to stop. If you want to continue the stories, Mina Harker, turn to 34. If you'd rather continue stories, either Jonathan Harker or Dr. Seward, turn to 14. Oh, I've got to stay at 34. Let's have a look. So 34. You and Professor Van Helsing close on the cart, your weapons trained on the gypsies. In response, the gypsies draw their own weapons, all manner of knives and pistols, and hold themselves ready to attack. Suddenly all is confusion, and Zigani engage your brave companions in battle. In the midst of it all, you see Jonathan on one side, the ring of the men, and Quincy on the other, forcing their way to the cart, clearly bent on finishing their task before the sun sets. Nothing hinders them, not the level guns or the flashing eyes of the gypsies or the walls. If the blood score is 15 points or higher, I turn to 959. If it is lower, I turn to 956. Oh, I think it's higher. I really do. So, where's my blood score? Yeah, I think it's 19. 959. It is suddenly as if you're within your own. It is suddenly as if you're within your own small bubble of calm, while the blizzard of battle wells around you, and then you hear the silky voice of the vampire inside your head. You would help these men hunt me and frustrate me in my designs, but you, their best beloved one, and now to me, flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, kin of my kin. You have aided in thwarting me, and yet you shall come when I call, and I call to you now, come. Take an ESB test, adding 1 to the dice. If you have the code word lycanthropy ticked off, if you pass the test, turn to 410. If you pass the test, turn to 979. Have I ticked that off, lycanthropy? No, I haven't. Yes. No, have I? No, that's somnambulism. I haven't. Oh no, my ESP is really low as well. That seems to be the main score, actually, ESP in this game, I've noticed. The one that has the most consequences anyway. So ESP is now 5. Oh, good grief. 6. Oh, we failed that already, but I'm just going to roll a second one. 3. So that's 9. So we failed. Turn the test, turn to 979. Oh, I'm going to be turned. 979. The wafer scar upon your forehead burning with intense pain. Try as you might, you cannot resist the vampire's siren summons. As soon as you succumb to Dracula's implacable will, the pain in your scar subsides. Jonathan has climbed onto the cart and is hurriedly loosening the ropes that have kept the box in place during its journey here. You calmly make your way through the melee of gypsies and the vampire hunters, none of them attempting to stop you, and startle your husband when you climb onto the wagon beside him. At first he looks at you in delight, believing you are there to help him in his dreadful task, but his expression transforms into one of shock when you grab hold of his arm and hurl him from the back of the cart, possessed of a strength that surprises both of you. Gain 2 blood points. I think that's now 21. And turn to 956. As the molten iron orb of the sun disappears behind the snow-capped peaks of the Carpathian Mountains, accompanied by a terrible splintering sound, something monstrous bursts through the lid of the box. In that moment, everyone freezes. Vampire hunters, Zigani, even the pack of wolves, all eyes fix upon the vampire. Dracula rises from the crate of the earth in all his dark majesty, terrible and glorious, indomitable and unconquerable, an expression of twisted fury on his face, and his eyes fix upon yours. Come to me, Mina, he says, join me. Without even realising what you are doing, you move towards him as if drawn by some magnetic force. Seeing what is happening, your friends and your husband throw themselves at the vampire, but each one is cast aside if he were no more than a flea. Here in his home country, within sight of his ancient home, the power of Dracula is irresistible. And yet their self-sacrifice distracts the monster, and you feel his grip on your body, mind and soul loosen slightly. But it is enough, and you try to fight back against the compulsion that is drawing you towards him. Take a combat test, adding 1 to the dice roll if the blood score is 12 points or higher. If you pass the test, turn to 756. If you fail, turn to 807. So combat test. I don't know how to do one of those. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Terror tests. Various times, agility. Combat is ESP. Oh, it is 2d6, less than or equal to. I just don't think I haven't rolled for it. Okay, what is my combat? My combat, I think it's gone down a little. Oh, no. Oh, no. My combat is 7. So I need to roll 2d6 less than or equal to pass. 2. 1, 3. But I had to have 1, so it's 4, but I still pass. If you pass, turn to 7, 5, 6. Somehow, against all the odds, you managed to break the monster's hypnotic spell, but now you're almost face to face with the vampire. Turn to 2, 4, 5. Ooh, 2, 4, 5. This is your chance. The vampire is clearly feeling vulnerable. You confront your nemesis, driven by the desire to make him pay for all the crimes he's committed, all the lives he has taken in order to sustain his own abominable, I can't say that word, abominable existence. But which weapon from your arsenal will you bring to bear? Oh, I have holy. Oh, which one? Which one do I choose? Holy water, 4, 4, 5. Right, I might be up against Dracula now, guys. It's got to be important. I need to get this right. It's combat. Taking a vial of holy water from your pocket, you unstopper it and splash its contents over the vampire looming in front of you. You are so close, it is impossible to miss. Roll 1 die and add to the number rolled. This is the amount of damage in endurance points you have caused the vampire already. Okay. 5, 6. So he's lost 6 endurance points. Let me have a look at him. Oh, 22 minus 6 is 16, I think. Yep. Dracula recoils from you, shrieking in agony as the holy water eats away his undead flesh like acid, giving you time to try something else. So let's tick off holy water, because we've done that. Oh, we have a holy Bible. Cold steel sword, but it's night shield. Is the Bible a holy symbol? Oh, I've got a saber and a revolver. Is there more? I think I'll say 420 for the holy symbol again, because I could throw a Bible at him. I don't know. Yeah, so 420. Aha. How many protective talismans can you bring against the vampire? Consult the list below to see how many points your blessed artifacts add up to. Well, I've only got a holy Bible, so that is +2. Once you've calculated your points, roll 2 dice. Let's have a look. What's my dice gone? So that is 3 and 3, so that's a total of 6. So we have 6. Once you calculate, roll 2 dice. If the number rolled is equal to or less than your total. Oh, it is. So I have 2 points. Because I've only got the Bible. Oh, it's greater, so it's 350. I don't think that's good. Shrieking like a banshee, the king of vampires attacks. In this battle, you have the initiative. Remember to deduct any damage you have already caused Dracula before you begin. Ooh, we've got to fight Dracula. Dracula the Undead. Combat 11. Endurance 20. Oh, okay, it's been changed because of his, okay. Endurance 20. I'll leave his endurance as is. It started off at 22. Oh, actually, no, maybe not. It'd probably give me advantage. So 22, I think we minus 6, didn't we? So 20 minus 6, he's now left with 14. So we change that to 20. If you manage to win the battle in 12 combat rounds or fewer, turn to 379 at once. If after 12 combat rounds both you and Dracula are still alive, turn to 510. Okay, right, I'm going to have to keep notes in the book because I'm becoming very messy in my note keeping with this. I don't think I anticipate to actually do as much note keeping, so probably why. Okay, so I don't need actually 3, 6. Yeah, because these can be good for rounds actually. Have I got another one of these? Yep, so encounter. So this can be the encounter rounds, I think. Okay, oh, okay, so maybe if I call this Dracula, Mina. So Mina has a combat of 7, and Dracula is 11. Okay, cool. And his endurance is... She has 72. I think I must have fudged her endurance long here. Never mind. So, hand-to-hand combat. Okay, he has 20 and she has 72. I mean, she has to roll very unluckily to not win against him. Okay. Oh, great. The one I'm using is Count Dracula. Cool. Okay, that's not going to work. If I just cross out Wolf here. Dracula. Mina. So her endurance is 72. His is 14. And his combat at the minute is 11. And hers is 7. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay, so let's have a look at combat. So I'm just going to roll 2 T6s and add it. I'm just going to go back and forth and add the, I think the combat scores onto it to win. Yeah, so let's begin. So I think every time someone loses, they loses 2 points of endurance. You and your opponent both managed to injure each other, deduct 1. Okay, so yeah, for combat rating, which is whatever I roll added to my combat score, is higher, you always lose 2. That's what I'm taking it as anyway. I could be wrong. So let's go for Mina first. Because she has initiative. So that's 6. Oh, 6 plus 6 plus 12. So that's 12 plus... Okay, let's start again, new page. Mina, she got 12 plus... Where's her sheet? I think she's 7. Plus 7 equals, I think, 19. Then Dracula, let's roll for him. He will get... It's very messy now. 1, not a bad start. 4, so that's 5. 5 plus 11... 16. He loses 2 points of endurance. Excellent. He's down to 12. So Dracula. So Drac is 12 endurance, and Mina is still at 72. Okay. And I imagine Mina starts again because she won. So let's roll again. 3 plus 6 is 9, so she got a 9 in total. And Dracula, oh yeah, and 9 plus her, what's it? Combat is 7. 9 plus 7 equals 16. And Dracula, let's roll for him. 3 and 4. He got 7. And his score is, let's have a look, Count Dracula. His combat score is 11. So he got 18. So Dracula is, 11 plus 7 equals 18. So he wins. So Mina loses 2 points. So Mina is down to 70. And Dracula is still at 12. I've got to roll really high to win, I think. Because I have some lucky rolls. Okay, because Dracula won, he goes first. So let's roll 4. Ooh. And 4, he got 8. So 8 plus 11, 11 plus 8 equals 19. And Mina goes next. 1, ooh, not good. And 1, 2, she loses. So Mina is 7 plus 2 equals 9. She loses 2 points. So Dracula's at 12. And Mina is at 68. So Dracula goes first again because he won. 6 and 4. So you got 10 plus 11 equals 21. And Mina's go 1 plus 6. You got 7. 7 plus 7 equals 14. Dracula wins again. She's down to 66. I can see why she got high endurance now. Okay, so she's down to 66. Yeah, so Dracula's turn. Oh, 1. 3, it's a 4. So 4 plus 11 equals 15 for Dracula. She could win this if she rolls well. So 5 and a 1, 6. Oh, 6 plus 7 equals 13. Mina loses, so she's down to 64, and Dracula is still at 12. Okay, Dracula's turn again. He goes first because he won. Oh, 5. He's going to win again. 6 plus 11 equals 17. Let's have Mina's go. Roll high, Mina. Come on. 2. Oof. And 6. She got 8. So 8 plus 7 equals 15. He wins again. So she's down to 62 and he's down to 12. Right, Dracula goes first because he won. 4. 5, that's 9. 9 plus 11 equals 20. Mina's not going to win this, I don't think. 3. 5, she got 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. So she's down to 60. And Dracula is down to 12. Okay, let's roll again. Dracula first because he won. 2. Ooh. And 1, that's 3. We stand a chance here. 3 plus 11 equals 14. And Mina, come on, roll high, roll high. 4. And 6, 10. 10 plus 7 equals 17. She wins, hooray. We're down to 10 for Dracula. Can we win? Are we actually going to win this game? I did not think we could win this, but we could win this, I think. So Mina is, he's at 10. And Mina is at 58. Okay, let's go. And Mina goes first this time because she won. 4 and 3, that's 7. So 7 plus 7 equals 14 for Mina. And Dracula will be 1, ooh, plus 3. So that's 4 plus 11. Ah, just wins. So Dracula is now, he's still at 10. And Mina is at 56. Oh, I've got to count for 12. How many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my God. 9. So what's the thing? Oh, I think we've still got to be alive, you know. So I've got 10, so 9. So 10th one. And I think it is Dracula's turn because he won. So 3 and 1. So that's a 4. 4 plus 11 equals 15. And for Mina, it's 6. Oh, she might win this. And 1, 7. No, 7 plus 7 equals 14. Mina. So she loses, so she's at 54. And Dracula's still at 10. Okay, round 11. Dracula goes first. 2, 1. Oh, nice. So he's 3 plus 11. That equals 14. And Mina is 3 and 3. So that's 6 plus 7 equals 13. So he wins. So Mina's down to 52 and he's still at 10. So 12th round. So let's go Mina. So Mina... Oh, no, he goes first because he won. 5. He's going to win. 3. So that's 8 plus 11 equals 19. And Mina is 3 and 5. She got 8 as well. 8 plus 7 equals 15. Round 12. So she's at 50 and he's still at 10. They're both still alive. If we had a few more lucky rolls, I think we could have done that. If after 12 combat rounds, both you and Dracula are still alive, turn to page 510. In the face of your righteous assault, hissing in fury, the undead wretch suddenly turns tail and flees, a black bear against the crisp white snow. 1 minute he's moving so fast you believe he is a wolf, and then blurring flight reminds you more of a flock of agitated bats. And then it is as if he is nothing more than smoke. Turn to 970. 9... Oh, wow, it's further ahead. 9... With their master flown, the wolves sink back into the trees, their hackles raised and growing in fear. Without the vampire's presence impelling them to fight back, the Zigani give up as well. Too many of their number having fallen to your bullets and blades. Abandoning your companions, you set off in pursuit of your nemesis. The supernatural monster leaves no footprints, but you have no trouble tracking it. You follow fleeing Count through the dusty halls and the cobweb corridors of his fortress stronghold, down a spiraling stone staircase and into the catacombs that lie buried beneath it. If you have the code word Sakani ticked off, turn to 930. Do you know what I think I do? Yeah, I do. Turn to... Where are we? Turn to 930. Ooh. 930. Oh, this looks good. As you paused to light the lantern, you had the presence of mind to grab from among your belongings before setting off after the Count. The wick flares into life, illuminating an ornamental stone shield above a cracked archway. The coat of arms is superimposed with the carved relief of a mighty dragon, its wings and tail curled about it. You recognise it at once. It is the insignia of the Order of the Dragon, the noble brotherhood of knights to which Count Dracula once belonged. The vampire's trail does not lead that way, but further into the darkness of the catacombs. Do you want to keep following the Count, or do you want to see what lies beyond the archway? Let's go beyond the archway. I think there could be like a weapon in there. 895. Come on, where are we? Oh, 895. Beyond the archway is a dank passageway that ultimately leads to what appears to be a curious chapel in which stands a stone altar, but rather than bearing the icons of Christianity, it reminds you of a shrine, such as might be found in the ruins of ancient Rome or perhaps even Egypt. The altar is covered with carvings of intertwining snakes, while on top of its alabaster statue of a huge white serpent, or it could be a wingless dragon, a human figure trapped in its sculpted coils. But what stops you in its tracks is the great sword that is also lying on the altar, its polished blade gleaming in the light of your lantern. The quillions of its crossguard have been fashioned to look like stylized dragon heads, their eye sockets set with exquisitely cut rubies. Engraved into the blade itself, an ornamented script is what you take to be the name of its maker. The maker gave it. Efil the Sil Dulb et. I think that's an anagram. File is blood there. Oh. The blood is life. The blood is a life. As long as you are wielding the blade in battle, you made +2 points when calculating your combat rating. If you wound an opponent with it, you cause an additional point of damage. Record the dragon sword on your adventure sheet, but make note that you may only use the weapon at a time. One weapon at a time and turn to... Ooh, how cool is that? Got a dragon sword. Joe, I realised I didn't use any weapons in the last round. I should have done that. Where's the thing in this? Oh, I think I can knock off more endurance points. Let's just say I'm holding a sword. Also, it has +2 to my combat rating. Okay, that's cool. So it gives me basically advantage on attack. Not advantage, but attack bonus. And 1 additional point of damage. +1 damage. Oh, that's cool. So about, I think that's an extra point of endurance you can knock off. Oops, I dropped my thing on the floor. So then turn to 835. Not wishing to delay a moment longer, realising that might be your only chance to stop Dracula once and for all, you set off after the vampire once again. You follow his malign spoor through the labyrinth passageways of the catacombs, aware that with every turn you take, you are travelling deeper into the crag upon which the castle stands. Time loses all meaning as you pursue the vampire who knows where until you turn a corner and pass through an archway bearing the carving of a dragon upon its keystone. As you enter a vast cavern, your lantern cannot penetrate the darkness at the back of the cave, but you can see that you're not far from the edge of the subterranean lake. Standing at the water's edge is your quarry, a low chanting echoes from the walls and the stalactite-hung roof of the natural dome chamber, as it takes you a moment to realise it is coming from the Count's lips. As you step forward with your weapon raised to deal the undead monster a killing blow, there is disturbance in the previously still black waters of the lake, and you watch in disbelief and horror as something truly monstrous rises from the water. It looks like a huge white worm, as wide as across a man is tall, but with obsidian pearls for eyes, it opens a horribly fanged mouth big enough to swallow you whole and gives you a voice to roar that freezes in your blood in your veins and shakes the very rock upon which you are standing. You're going to have to act fast. Will you attack the monstrous white worm or the vampire? Vampire, 984, because I think he's already a bit wounded. 9, 8, 4. Ignoring the roaring serpent, you charge at Count Dracula with your weapon in hand and a scream of defiance to your lips as he turns to face you. But you're stopped in your tracks when his face tears open from the widow's peak of his forehead down to his chin. Ugh! And his human visage sloughs away, revealing hideous noseless features that are more reptile than man itself. The undead monster sheds both his cloak and his skin, his luxuriant black hair coming away with it. His jaws distend as they open impossibly wide, sinuous forked tongue hissing from between long venomous fangs. Add 1 point to your terror score. I think that's now 16. Good lord. You are still able to use your Penny's Mighty and special ability if you want to. So yeah, 710. We've got to go there. 710. The serpentine shape changer fixes you with its hypnotic obsidian gaze, and you feel your resolve start to weaken. Take a terror test. If you pass the test, turn to 690. If you fail the test, turn to 660. Okay, where are my dice gone? I think we're going to fail because my terror score is now like 16. So 4 and 4, that's an 8. With the terror, how much can I go up to? I think I've looked at this before, but I'm a bit... Oh, 4 dice. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. So that's 16. No, I've still failed. If you fail the test, turn to 650. Breaking eye contact with the horror, you screw your courage to the stick in place, determined to put an end to the undying count once and for all. And although you fear it may be the last thing you ever do, in this battle your nemesis has initiative. Dracula, son of the dragon, combat 10, endurance 12. If you somehow win your battle against a skin-shedding vampire, turn to 600. Ah, so this is Dracula's son. Oh my god. I'm just going to pick up these... Okay, breaking eye contact with the horror, you screw your courage to stick in place. So let's get the notebook out again. This is now Dracula's son. So he has combat 10. So Dracula's son, he has combat 10. Endurance 12, that's not too bad. Mina is 7. And her endurance is, I think it's... Oh, wow, it's gone down to 50. So... Oh, and there's no limit. I think one of us actually has to die. So, and he has the initiative. Okay, well, he rolls first. I've also got my dragon sword now, which is cool. So that's 6 and a 3. So that is 9. 9 plus 10 equals 19. I got my dragon sword, so that's plus 2. So that's 2. Whoops. 6, that's 8. Plus 2 is 8 plus 7, which is 15. He wins. So, what is the points if he wins? Oh, it's -2, isn't it? Of course it is. So, Mina is now 48. Dracula Part 2 is still 12. So he goes again. I think I get to use that sword every time. I'm going to use it every time anyway. She needs all the help she can get. So that's 6 plus 4, so that's 10. 10 plus 10 equals 20. Ooh, she's got to roll higher. 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 9 plus 7 equals 15. He wins again. So she is now at 46 and he is at 12. So he gets to go again because he won. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 plus 10 equals 18. She could win this. 2, not with that. 6, that's 8. Plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 7, oh, so close, is 17. So she's 44 and he is 12. 5, 6, so that's 11. 11 plus 10 equals 21. She's not going to beat her, surely not. 3 plus 6 is 9. Plus 2 is 11. 11 plus 7 equals 17. So she's at 42 and he's still at 12. Not rolling well here. Okay, let's have another go. So I think I might just be here till death. This is a prompt I die on probably. Right. 5. 3. So that's 8. 8 plus 10 equals 18. Let's go for Mina. 5. 2 is 7, plus another 2 is 9. 9 plus 7 equals 16. So she is now down to 40, and he is 12, and he gets to go first. 3. 2 is 5. 5 plus 10 equals 15. 3. 1, 2, so that's 6 plus 7 equals 14. She could have won that and she didn't. 38. He's still at 12. 6. 5 is 11. 11 plus 10 equals 21. And Mina is 2. 1. She's 3. 3 plus 7 plus 2. Change that to 5. 5 plus 7 is it? Is that 7 plus 7 is 14? So it's 12? 5 plus 7 is 12? Yeah. Either way, she loses. 36. 12. He goes again. 6. Oh, it's rolling high. 1. So that's 7 plus 10 equals 17. She might be able to break this. 3. God, we need a 6. 2. So that is 5 plus 2 with the sword is 7 plus 7 equals 14. She's lost again. 34. He hasn't broken it yet. Right. 3. 3, 6. So he's 6 plus 10 equals 16. She could break this if she rolls high. 5. Oh, good start. 1. Oh. 6 plus... Oh, no, she's 2. So she's 8 plus 7. Of course, she had the plus 2 from the sword. I hope I got it right. 8 plus 7 is... Well, she's still lower. 15. 32. 6 plus 5, 11 plus 10 equals 21. So 1 again. 1 and 1, 2. I'm not even going to bother adding that up. So that is 30 for Mina and 12. Dracula goes again. 1. Oh, not bad. 4. So that's 5 plus 10 equals 15. She could win this. She rolls well. 6. Oh, 12. A plus 2 is 14. Plus 7 equals 21. Finally. We knock off. Oh, and I get plus 1 damage. So I knock off 3. 11, 10, 9. So that's 9. And she's at 30. Hopefully, we might get some light at the end of the tunnel here. Right, she goes again. 3. Oops. And 5. That's another high score. 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 7 equals 17. So hopefully Dracula rolls low. 1, not bad. 5, 6. 6 plus 10 equals 16. She wins again. And she does 3 damage because it's plus 2 for endurance and plus 1 for her sword is 6, and she's at 30. She goes again. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8 plus 7 equals 15. She could still win this. 1. 1. Oh my god. So 2 plus 10 equals 12. Oh my god, he's down to 3. She's still at 30. How has this happened? My luck has finally turned. She goes again. 6 and 1. Ugh. 7 and plus 2 for the sword is 9. Plus 7 for her challenge rating, whatever it is, combat, is 16. She could win this again. 9 plus 7. that 16? Yeah. Dracula's turn. 5. Or maybe Dracula. 3. 8. 8 plus 10. Well, our winning streak's gone. 18. He wins. So he's 3 and she's 28. Right. His turn now. 4. 5 is 9. 9 plus 10 equals 19. Then 1, not bad. 4, 5. Add 2 is 7. Add 7. 7 plus 7 equals 14. Yeah, it's not good enough. So Dracula is now at 3 and she's 28. To be fair, all she needs is one more hit and she wins. So we might survive. Right, here's to go again. 1. Oh, not bad. 4, 5. 5 plus 10 equals 15. Let's go for Mina. 6. Oh, she do it. 5, 11. Plus 2 is, because the sword is 13. 13 plus 7 is 20. Oh my god. So that's 2 enduring points down. So that is 3 and plus 1 for the sword. Oh my god, he's down. Baby Dracula's dead. Oh my god. So she's beat the son of Dracula. Turn to 600. With your final fatal thrust, you plunge the tip of your blade into the monster's heart. A look of shock seizes its warped Ophidian features, its mouth open in a gasp of disbelief. Pulling the blade free again with the last scything blow, you take the monster's head from its shoulders. The headless corpse starts to crumble dust before it even hits the floor. At the same time, the monstrous worm starts to twist and jerk uncontrollably. While Count Dracula lived for centuries, that demonic worm has existed in hiding beneath the surface of the world for countless eons, dominating the wills of lesser beings for millennia, travelling from Egypt to Rome and ultimately to the mountains of Transylvania. With the vessel of its unholy spirit destroyed, the bond between demon god and undead slave takes its toll on the dragon. The ground shakes, the worm withers in its tormented death throes, and great stalactites fall from the roof of the cathedral-like cavern to splash into the black waters of the lake. You have run to get out of there as fast as you possibly can. Turning tail, you run for the archway that will lead you back to the catacombs. Take an agility test and endurance test. If you fail either, turn to 570. If you pass both, turn to 540. So I think these are both lower than... where's my test thing? It's even here. Where's it gone? Maybe not. Okay, let me just double check for the tests. So, endurance... Oh, endurance is 4, and it has to be less, equal to, or less than. Okay. So it's still equal to or less than, but it's got 4. Okay, so... So endurance test is 4 dice. We'll do that first. And my endurance is... Oh, good grief. So it has to be less than or equal to 28. That's not bad. Okay. So first one. Oh, 6. 1, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes, I pass endurance. Agility. My agility score is 7. Okay, so I'm not going to bother. I need to roll over this. 4, 6. I failed agility, so I got over. So if you fail, even so 570. Before you can even make it out of the cave, a great chunk of rock comes free from the ceiling and crashes down beside you. While it doesn't strike you directly, the impact causes you to stumble and fall to the ground, grazing knees and elbows and banging your head to the floor. Lose 3 endurance points. So I'm down to... What am I down to? Let's say 25 now, which isn't bad. I can see why she maybe acquired a lot during this story. Now we're in the castle, it does make sense. 540. Ooh. Making it out of the cave, the screams of the dying dragon worm reverberating from the cavern behind you. You sprint through the catacombs as those ancient tunnels start to collapse. Adrenaline gives you the strength to make it back to the crypt, and from there into the ancient forest as paintings and displays of armour are shaken from their mountains around you until you burst through the doors of Castle Dracula into the courtyard. From there you flee through the gates and rejoin your friends, only then allowing yourself to fall to your knees in the snow, utterly exhausted. Ooh, 75. Ooh, I've got to turn 20 ahead. So that is 95. Ooh. The wolves and gypsies have flown, other than those whose corpses list the ground around you, while Castle Dracula is nothing more than the grim silhouette against the darkening sky. But then there comes a terrible convulsion of the earth that sends your party falling to their knees. At the same moment, with a roar that seems to shake the very heavens, the whole castle and even the crag upon which it stands seems to rise into the air and scatter into fragments, while a mighty cloud of black and yellow smoke beats upward from the sundered ground. Where the smoke clears, nothing of Dracula's bat-haunted lair remains. After the cataclysmic destruction of the castle, an eerie stillness falls like a funeral pall over the mountains, as the thunderclap of the castle's destruction rolls away over the valleys and chasms of the Carpathians. While the rest of you get to your feet, Quincy Morris remains on the ground, leaning on one elbow, a hand pressed to his side. You can still see the blood gushing through his fingers and hurry over to him, as do Dr. Stewart, Arthur, Professor Van Helsing, and your dear Jonathan, who kneels behind him so that the wounded man lays head against your husband's shoulder. With a sigh of effort, the Texan takes your hands in his and, reading the anguish of your heart in your face, and smiles. I'm only too happy to have been at any service. Oh God, he cries suddenly, struggling into a sitting posture and pointing to you. It was worth dying for this. Look. It is suddenly as if your face is being bathed by a rosy glow. With one impulse, the other gentlemen sink to their knees with a deep and earnest amen breaks from their lips as their collective gaze follows Quincy's pointing finger. Tentatively, you put your hand to your forehead and gasp yourself. Where before there was a knotted skin of the wafer burn, now it is smooth and you feel no pain as you touch the spot. Now God be thanked that all has been in vain, that all has not been in vain, breathes the American. See, the snow is no more stainless in her forehead. The curse has passed away, and to your bitter grief, but with a smile on his lips, Quincy dies, a gallant gentleman to the last. Turn to 1,000. Ooh, what's going to happen? Jonathan Harker's journal. 7 years ago, we all went through the flames, and the happiness of some of us since then is. We think, well, worth the pain we endured. It is an added joy to Mina and to me that our boy's birthday is the same day as that on which Quincy Morris died. His mother holds, I know, the secret belief that some of our brave friend's spirit has passed into him. His bundle of names links all of our little band of men together, but we call him Quincy. In the summer of this year, we made a journey to Transylvania and went over old ground, which was and is to us full of vivid and terrible memories. It was almost impossible to believe that the things which we had seen with our own eyes and heard with our own ears were living truths, every trace of all that had been blotted out. When we got home, we were talking of the old time, which we could look back on without despair, for Godalming and Stewart are both happily married. I took the papers from the safe where they had been ever since our return so long ago. We were struck with the fact that, in all the mass of material of which the record is composed, there is hardly one authentic document, nothing but a mass of typewriting, except the later notebooks of Mina and Seward, myself, and Van Helsing's memorandum. We could hardly ask anyone, if we wished to accept these as proofs of so wild a story. Van Helsing summed it all up as he said, with our boy on his knee. We want no proofs, we ask none to believe us. This boy will some day know what a brave and gallant woman his mother is. Already he knows her sweetness and loving care. Later on he will understand how some men so loved her that they did dare much for her sake. The end. I did not anticipate that. I think I completed it correctly. Did I win? Yeah, what an amazing game. Really love playing it. One thing I will say is definitely keep meter notes than what I did. I didn't realise how important all that would be. It sounds silly now, say it now, but because I was just going into it with the flow of keeping the story in my mind. My sheets got really messy. I lost track of some of my scores. But yeah, amazing book. I really do recommend it. So yeah, definitely get this if you haven't already. I had such a good time playing it. Amazing. What more is there to say? Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.